Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is. Hey, so welcome back. It's a terrific Monday. Who am I kidding? Okay, so since I actually got to have a court case this morning, I'll just kind of give you guys an update of it. And we have this special retired person who was a judge, actually a really good judge, which is strange that a really good judge would side with radical leftists, but it's a part of this special master because nobody can get along in the Coomer case because Coomer's lawyers are nothing but liars and all they do is lie. So they asked me again to give up the Antifa kid, and I said, I already gave it to you, you already got it in the notes. She's like, I'll take that as a you're not going to give it up. Now, that stopped before I went off for 20 minutes. She told me I wasn't allowed to talk. And Coomer's attorneys don't particularly like me, and I don't particularly like them. They're nothing but liars. They have basically done this defamatory deal against me and lied so much that I've been subjected to, you name it. But when you say it over and over again in front of a judge and you lie over and over and over again, it only takes 5 or 6 times. So that's what they've done. That's their mantra, is that they'll continue to lie and hope that the chaos will overcome their client's behavior. So anyway, before you hear it there, we hear it here. This attorney who does not have the authority to, or this judge does not have the authority to make this ruling, says that they're reenacting a $1,000 sanction a day to give up information related to the Antifa kid. So fun times. We'll see how it ends. A whole lot of the ridiculous, but yes, I'm looking forward to all the more slanderous articles that get created and won't give up information. All the same bullshit that they did before. Although I got to tell you, I'm getting to the point now where I've had enough, and they're trying to push me to that place. So, well, we'll see how it goes. Let's talk about today. Today's a problem. This weekend was a problem. I went elk hunting, and I'm gonna be out of town for a bit, just hanging out, just up in the hills, and I got to get out of here for a bit. And most of what I said this weekend, I put up some posts about how the stars are bright and they're great, and I went up there elk hunting. I just want you to know that no elk were harmed in the anticipation of me going up there elk hunting. They all ran away. It was not a good hunting weekend. Although I had a great time with my buddy. We went up and got to hike 2.5 miles straight up a mountain. That was fun, and get out there in the side by side and just enjoy life a little bit. But the more and more I see what's happening today, the more distressed I am about where we are. We do have a guest today, so we're going to talk through a bunch of this stuff with him. And it's Adam DeRito. I just asked him, I actually asked my assistant, is he spicy DeRito today, or is he super cheesy DeRito today? But let me just tell you a little bit about him. He's a sky soldier, whistleblower. He's expelled from the U.S. Air Force. He's the author of the DeRito Act. He's coming locked and loaded. He's not going to pull any punches against what I will call establishment RINOs, or people that have been around a long time. He can tell the story about the Pentagon that weaponized psych evals against him now protect Colorado's rigged election systems. And Barbara Kirkmeyer wants to be governor in 2026. Adam called her out by name. She's a legacy RINO, been around a long time. Budget committee enabler. She's done zero action on audits on the machines. When GOP leaders abandoned Tina Peters and fund the fraud, the question will be, is it incompetence or is it treason? Now, I'm a firm believer that our entire country is under a state of an insurrection right now, has been for decades, and they basically did it softly by stealing elections across the country. You don't have to like what I say when I'm telling you that we're under siege, that the sedition and treason against our nation was from the inside. And if you remember back when Clinton Curtis was testifying before Congress in 2004, he was asked by Congressman Feely to build the machine that basically could go beyond being detecting any sort of fraud within the system. From 2004 to 2005, Eric Coomer was brought in as the chief architect of Sequoia Voting Systems, owned wholly by Smartmatic, a Venezuelan-funded organization that, by the way, hasn't had free or fair elections anywhere in the world, but somehow runs the elections in centralized California, Los Angeles County, the largest voting district in that state. Sequoia was forced to sell because basically fraud and corruption within the system. That was done in 2009. Now there's a lot to be said because I didn't know all about the history of Eric Coomer until he got on the Antifa call and until I got sent that article that said that Eric was he was the spokesperson, he's the head bottle washer, he's the chief architect, he's everything. I believe, frankly, that Eric Coomer is the linchpin behind everything that happened at Dominion. And I also believe the CIA recruited him. But I'm going to put up this tweet that I did this morning. And I was asked why I keep talking about Eric. They said, well, he just continues to talk about him. Much like a rape victim that is raped, when you have someone that is so just evil. I mean, Church of Satan tattoo on his arm. The Screaming Pope, it's their favorite artist, to running into buildings, to writing about raping his wife, to writing about wanting to kill police officers, hating Trump, posting the Antifa manifesto. I mean, just really running into a building. That was a big one because he just lied, and it was so easy for him. It was as if it was just yesterday. And then he said, I was lying. And I was lying. So I'm lying, but the guy that literally has been a criminal and done criminal acts for 25 years, that guy is now the poster child for elections. And we should let him, in all of his radical nature, run these elections, not just here, but all over but I'm wrong. And he gets to have my family attacked and attack people around me, but I should stay quiet. No, you don't let a rapist run free, and you don't let people who lie with impunity and do the things that they've done in our country. You don't let them just over speak you. No. So in honor of that, I want to put up this tweet. This is a tweet I did this morning because I wanted to remind you guys where we are. Good morning. There's only one problem this country has. We have been captured by fraudulent elections and largely selected representation at every level. I could care less about nearly anything else. Why? Because the charade of safe, free, and secure is bullshit. If you do not fix the elections, you have no country, and this seditious coup we are actively in the middle of will become ink dry, and most of you will die. That is not hyperbole. That is truth. Hand count at the precinct level, paper ballots in person with an ID, clean the voter rolls, only U.S. citizens can vote, and make it a federal holiday. No machines, no mail-in ballots. It's as simple as that. Everything else is a distraction because they are not serious about solving the problem. Thank you for your attention in this matter. And then we have this tweet from Apollo. This is the daily email from Jonathan Jacobs at the U.S. DOJ to several FBI. The daily email from Johnson Jacobs at the U.S. DOJ to several FBI, DOJ agents and Mike Fratera, counsel for Dominion, was sent on the same day that a special meeting was held and the Dominion contract for Mesa was extended. Tina was not going to renew the contract and had been negotiating with ClearBallot. Tina was removed as director of elections about 1 week earlier by Jenna Griswold. Sheila Reiner contracting for Dominion, and Wayne Williams were appointed to take over. These are people that took money from Dominion while they were taking over. So, quid pro quo. Tina was not present at the contract extension, bore her signature stamp for some reason. The only person that could have legally signed was Tina and her deputy clerk, who was put on leave before this meeting. Thus, the contract signed in August of 2024 is likely null and void. At Real Tina Peters needs to be freed immediately. RICO. I believe every bit of that. And then I want to play this. Look, we're not going to stop. I'm not going to stop. I don't actually care if I go broke. I don't care. I could care less. I don't want to live in a world where they can just treat us like slaves. I don't want to live in that world. Like, I grew up super poor. It doesn't bother me. I'm totally good with it. And that's the difference between me and probably 99% of the world out there that will not stand up and call a man and a woman. Afraid, deathly afraid to answer simple questions. You want to know why? Because they're afraid of the outcome. They're afraid they might lose their job. They're afraid of they want that bag of shekels. They want that bag of shekels. They want to eat and watch their TV. They want to sit down and play video games. They want to simp a little bit more. Don't want to see the truth. Certainly don't want to talk about it even when they do see it. I'm just not built that way. I'm not built that way. I'm not built for the bullshit. Right? So it is what it is. I'm going to continue to do it. But this is what Nino Rodriguez said of why we're actually in Venezuela and why we need to free Tina Peters. Some people are starting to get it. Play it.
Do you want to know the real reason we're in Venezuela? Well, yeah, the narco-terrorism is a good cover. And yeah, we want to get rid of drugs. But the biggest reason is it reveals how they stole the 2020 election. How Biden stole the 2020 election, and it all leads to Hugo Chavez's regime in Venezuela and how we intercepted their Smartmatic system to flip and steal votes for the 2020 election, and they hold the key. You know who else holds the key? Tina Peters, who's rotting in a jail right now in Colorado, and her cancer has come back, and they're making conditions unlivable within the jail system to keep her hostage and hopefully kill her in the Colorado jail. Free Tina Peters. Share this message far and wide, folks.
I'm gonna bring Adam in. I'm gonna bring Tommy in because Tommy's joining us. I just see he's up there now. I want to bring them both in. Tommy's joining us for the podcast. We've got one more because we're going to talk about Mexico, but I'm going to get their thoughts on this. So Adam, who's with us, and Tommy, welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here, Joe.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for letting me come on the podcast today. Appreciate it.
You know, before we get to the next one, which is talking about what's happening in Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
Because the people there are pissed. If only people here were this pissed over the fact that you're overtaxed, you're lied to every day, that the media can do whatever they want to you. We're run by cartel members, just at a different rate at the local, all the way state and federal level. It's basically one big cartel.
Yeah, and basically Gen Z's had enough of it. This is something I actually wrote a Substack article this morning on my Substack this morning about what's going on in Mexico, and it's critically important. They are sick and tired of being run by narco-terrorists. They're sick and tired of having government officials acquiesce to the status quo. They are sick and tired of not being able to raise their families in safety and having to deal with all these things. And if we watch over the summer, we've seen this happen in Nepal as well. They burned down every government building. They went after the presidential palace. I spent a month in Europe and the UK doing operations and kind of integrating in what's going on with the IRA and the UDF up in Belfast, all across Ireland and across London. And it is absolutely terrifying because that stuff is going to come here if we don't stop it. And we're starting to see other nations rise against their government officials. And, you know, hopefully we can do it in a more peaceful way here. But it's getting to the point where we're going to have to make a decision. Do we want moral or ethical people in our government, or are we going to continue to do the same thing that's broken and not working?
I mean, whoops. What you said is it seems to be the temperature seems to be going up. Tommy, what are your thoughts?
Well, to be the contrarian, it might have been last week with Dr. Federer, it might have been the week before, when we were talking about the Christians in Nigeria. You had brought up a point that I hadn't thought about, and you're saying all of this, you know, real or not, you're like, even if it is real, and it probably is, to be aware of what this is. This is a way to funnel money there through, the means that Trump hasn't cut off. So actually, because of that talk, because of what you said last week, Joe, is my first thought, and this could just be my own brain being cooked by conspiracies now, is when I see what's happening, my first thought is why am I seeing this? How am I able to see this? Why is this what's trending? Who does this serve? And I would argue that this serves as even if it's tangentially related, it is the beating of the wardrobes. Even though I'm with the people in Mexico, it does give me pause when let's completely break it down into what it is. It's a new enemy with a new just reason to go there. We are moving, I think, more than one carrier strike group off the coast. I mean, massive amounts of armament. I think somebody said it's on par. The aircraft alone is on par, second only to Iraq in March 2003. Although I do side with the people there, I am a little more, when I look at it and I go, what am I being shown, and who benefits from me getting a feeling of rah, let's go get them? Just to be cautious. Every time, war on terror or Vietnam or Korea, it's always preceded by some air of justification. I'm just trying to be a little more hesitant right now. Why am I seeing this? Why is it happening right now? Why is it trending? And maybe it is organic. I'm a little more on the fence about why are we seeing this? What is this riling us up to do?
Well, I mean, look, I can already tell you I'm riled up. I'm riled up.
Yeah.
We're heading into 2026. I know Adam's riled up.
Yep.
I mean, we got people all over the country that are telling us what to think and how to think it, and they're not doing us any favors. We busted our ass for 5 years, right? And here we are having this conversation yet again on elections, as if we're just.
I'm specifically talking about Mexico. I agree with you that it does need
it's coming here. I guess what I'm saying is,
what's
happened in Mexico is going to. I mean, do you see it coming here? I think it has to come here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I've talked to so many disenfranchised people in the millennial generation and generations before us, and this is actually why I wanted to come on today. I mean, I've been involved in federal politics for 15 years. You guys can Google me. I'm all over the internet. My claim to fame is I tried to take down the Air Force Academy for covering up rape, sexual assault for over 15 years. And I was retaliated against for working as a confidential informant for the Air Force Department of OSI. While I was a cadet, I was a victim of sexual assault while I was there as well. And basically what we uncovered was an NCAA Division I football team was covering up several rapes and sexual assaults. Over 30 people were being convicted of these things. However, when it came down to brass tacks, all of them walked. And they discharged me 30 days after graduation, pulled my degree, pulled my commission, even though I was already commissioning into the Marine Corps. I wasn't even staying in the Air Force. So I completed the Air Force Academy and I completed Marine Officer Candidate School, which is pretty much unheard of. And then when I didn't even know what was going on. I was 21 years old. You just listen to whatever a three-star general tells you. But what we found out was years later, when I tried to get back into the military, because what you're going to go to the Air Force Academy, they charge you $240,000 if you don't complete your 5-year service commitment, right? So I had to find a way to try to pay that back. So that's when I met Governor Hickenlooper, and we tried to get involved in a system where, hey, I'm going to now go from the National Guard side as an enlisted member. At 27 years old, I became an E4. I went into the 19th Special Forces Group as a parachute rigger, and then I went back to serve my time back. Well, we should say that, hey, I deserve all my time back. And that just didn't happen. They didn't count any of my service time, even though I was in Special Forces as a support guy with a security clearance. Come to find out in 2017, and I didn't even know this, the Air Force went back into my medical records and changed my mental health records to say that I was crazy. So that way, all those kids that were going through court-martial around 2011, 2012, none of the evidence that we collected could be used against them. And they got away with it. And those members are still possibly serving in the Air Force today, right? And we just found this is a massive injustice. And then I found out it wasn't just me. I found out that most kids who were reporting rape and sexual assault at Federal Service Academy were now being retaliated against by having their mental health records changed. And what are you going to do about it? I spent over $250,000 of my own money dragging them all the way through federal court, all these systems to try to get it corrected. Come to find out, we made it all the way to the 10th District Court of Appeals, the highest level underneath the Supreme Court. And they came back and said, you're right, Mr. DeRito, your constitutional rights were violated. But under Parker versus Levy, the military is a separate society and should be treated as such, and therefore we cannot tell the military what to do. So the military has basically become the fourth branch of government, and this rolled right into the COVID stuff, because no matter what you do, even going to the Secretary of Defense, the President of the United States, the Air Force Board of Corrections and Military Records, doing all the right moral and ethical administrative appeals, they still won't change the law. So I decided I had to get involved. I had to go to my legislatures, and that's when I started writing legislation, the DeRito Act, the Military Mental Health Justice and Protection Act, because there's nothing in the NDAA and the Uniform Code of Military Justice that states it is illegal for any commander to use a command-directed evaluation to modify or falsify a member's mental health records in retaliation for reporting sexual assault, harassment, or misconduct. We would think that's a pretty bipartisan issue. Why wouldn't Doug Lamborn? Why wouldn't Ken Buck? Why wouldn't Lauren Boebert? Why wouldn't Joe Nagise? Any of these politicians in the state of Colorado be willing to sign up to advocate for military service members, especially at our own Air Force Academy here in the state of Colorado? And come to find out, it's all a pay-to-play system. The Air Force Academy Athletic Corporation, which is a 501c3 down there, and the Board of Visitors, which Michael Bennett sits on, they're all getting back paid through these channels, through campaign donations, and no one's going to go against the second largest revenue generator in the state of Colorado next to skiing, which is the Air Force Academy. So I had to go back to D.C. I went on a combat deployment. I came back as an intelligence analyst in the 19th Special Forces Group with the HIMARS unit down in Pueblo. And I said, all right, I got my street cred, I got my combat time. I mean, who's going to not agree with me that this is the right moral, ethical thing to do? And I started walking the halls of Congress. Lauren Boebert took pictures with me. Oh, we're going to support the DeRito Act. We're going to do all these things. Nothing happens. Not a single person in this entire state, Democrat or Republican, would sign on to those initiatives. And you have to ask yourself, exactly, you have to ask yourself, why? So, as you know, they're like, hey, you know what, DeRito, you've been doing federal politics for 15 years. Why don't you get involved in the local side? What's the worst that could happen? Well, I didn't realize that local politics are probably worse than anything I've ever experienced on the federal side. And I started showing up to my local meetings. I met all these local politicians in Weld County. That's where I live. I've worked oil and gas for over a decade. I've worked for every major company in our state. And now when I'm seeing 150,000 jobs get lost, millions in tax severance being lost because Baker Hughes is moving out, Noble Energy's selling off, Anadarko's leaving, and the only guys operating left are Liberty and Halliburton pretty much now. We went from operating dozens of rigs down to basically less than 10. And that was all during COVID, so people attributed it to COVID. And I started learning who all the players were. You know, I found out who Lori Sane was and Barb Kirkmeyer and all these other people. And then I come to find out that, Commissioner Sane at the time was for an open drilling policy. You know, we should drill anywhere, we punch a hole. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Why would we not want to do that? And then
I like saying, I hope she's not. Hope she's not on the list.
Yeah, no. And then I'm like, okay, so who's Lori Sane? I go and meet Lori Sane. We have coffee, we talk, and I meet Perry Buck, and she's the commissioner at large, and she's Ken Buck's ex-wife. So Ken didn't do anything for me, so Perry Buck seemed pretty admissible to trying to get things done. I kind of introduced who I am, like, who is this guy from D.C. who just starts jumping into commissioner meetings? I'm like, well, I'm not a hostile adversary. I'm just an intelligence guy, and I'm just trying to get to know who everybody is and who's at play here. And you think this largely red district who's all pro-oil and gas and pro-farming and ranching, but then you've come to find out it's anything but that. And then I find out who all these other players are. And I start asking questions. I go to the state capitol and I state, well, why aren't we supporting, oil and gas operations? Why are we not passing more bills? Why are we not approving more drilling permits? And why is the guy in charge of approving drilling permits never worked in oil and gas before? That doesn't make any sense. And then I come to find out, well, who's backing his campaign? Well, who's the registered agent? And then they all backtrace to one single person. It's Marge Klein. Why is Marge Klein in charge of all of these specific elected officials? Why are they funneling money from this one donor, Steve Wells up here, into all these campaigns? That doesn't make any sense.
So it's a RICO thing everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much. And the worst part is it gets worse than that. Because keep in mind, I don't talk to really anybody. I just kind of keep to myself and figure out who everybody is. And I'm like, you know what? I started realizing that the only way we can make a change is for us to get involved. So I try to become a PCP. Denied. Try to run for the Weld County.
What do you mean denied? How are you denied?
Oh, sorry, those positions are filled, and we have no other positions for you to fill, so you can't do these things. Okay, that sounds fine. What about all these open? But let's go find some other PCPs, right? Because these are the people. Like we talk about election integrity, and that's super important.
Yeah.
But the Dominion machine doesn't matter if we never have a chance to put moral and ethical people on the ballot in the first place.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, they control it. This is why they wanted to get rid of the caucus. That's why those RINOs were
Exactly.
Pushing it for
Yep.
that specifically. But
What does PCP mean, other than primary care provider?
I'd put my ears.
No, what, Adam? What does PCP mean?
precinct chair.
Precinct committee person, right? So, and the problem, and this is like actually, this goes back to Mexico and everything else, right? That's why Gen Z is getting so pissed off, is because we have no control over who's even printed on the ballot, right? And this is the election corruption that's going on in Colorado that I have come to speak out against, is that it sounds great. Let's get rid of the Dominion voting machines. Yeah, that's sure. Let's free Tina Peters, 100%. But if we can't even have a chance of putting ourselves on the ballot in the first place because it's controlled by 10 to 20 people in the state of who even gets those seats, then what's the point? And I experienced this myself. Like, as for fun, I did an experiment. I ran for Weld County vice chair just to see what would happen.
What happened?
They walked around, Barb Kirkmeyer and Congressman Lauren Boebert, and they handed out pre-filled election pieces of paper and said, this is who you're going to vote for. You're not voting for him. So if you want to talk about election integrity, let's talk about blatant corruption out in the open. And not only that happened in Weld County.
Why would Kirkmeyer do that? Why would Lauren Boebert do that?
Well, why are they in other counties that they don't even represent either? So you go look at Pueblo County.
Well, are you saying Lauren Boebert likes Kirkmeyer?
Yeah, absolutely. Because here's the problem. Where do they get all the donations from? Steve Wells, up north, right? A lot of money gets funneled from these guys into these campaigns. And, like I said, Lauren and I had a great relationship for a long time. But when you're not going to pass common sense military justice and protection for our service members, and I have Air Force Academy cadets literally as of 2 weeks ago committing suicide, and their parents calling me, asking me, when are we going to get these changes? And it's not happening. You're going to have to aggressively start and say, we have to change the system. And it's nothing against them. I understand how politicians work in D.C. At the end of the day, it's dollars and cents, and you need that donor money. And the worst part about most people in the state of Colorado is they won't even donate $5. They'll show up to a Trump rally. They'll show up to a Charlie Kirk truck rally down I-25. But when it comes to actually donating or showing up to events or door knocking, a lot of people aren't doing it. And most millennials, I don't have time to go to a 6:30 a.m. pancake breakfast on a Wednesday. I have to go to work. Right? And they schedule all these meetings where all these decisions are being made during all of these things where we can't show up. So how can we possibly participate in our own constitutional republic if we're not even given the chance? And then, like I said, they're preventing us from becoming positioned. But the exception to that is, there's some other people like in Weld County, like Hunter Rivera. He was put in as the Weld County chairman. Why? Well, he worked for Kirkmeyer for several years. So he's going to do exactly as he says. And I've tried to talk to him about it. Like, hey, man, maybe you should take a step back and consider, our generation matters. And if you keep doing exactly what the people who have been in power for 30 years are controlling the entire party, we're never going to have a chance. And they're probably going to oust me from the Weld County SEC committee after this podcast, which is fine. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't think they will. People don't like it when I get on the sharp side of the stick.
Yeah, but it gets worse, Joe, because what happens is I stayed out of it. I'm like, all right, you don't want me to be Wells County Vice Chair? That's fine. I'll be a district captain. I'll help try to get things done. And then I get handed a list. Hey, you got 12 people in District J, and you can go fill 4 positions for PCPs for caucus this year. Hi-ho, the DeRito, that sounds awesome. And then I find out that there's hundreds of people on that list, and they didn't give me that list on purpose because they don't want me to fill those positions because they have all the votes whipped to ensure that their people are put on the ballot and not anyone else outside the system. And they're doing this to multiple district captains unless you pay to play and are playing the game. And I just can't stand it anymore. There is zero chance. Like I said, Dominion matters, absolutely. But if we can't even get the people we want, new, younger Americans, to get on those ballots, right? I'm a millennial. I'm 38 years old. I think I'm more than competent. I'm an officer in the United States Army. I've served my country for several years. I work in the oil and gas industry here. I'm a substitute teacher at St. Mary's Catholic School, and I'm a farmer on my own 12-acre piece of property. I think I know what's going on in Weld County, so maybe I should represent those people if I chose to run, or several other people. There is no chance in hell unless Barb Kirkmeyer and her cabal signs off on it. You have zero chance. And I experienced this in D.C., and this is how I ended up coming on this show. So as of 2 weeks ago, I was the national vice chairman for the American Veterans First Association. And our only objective as a 501c4 is to raise money and funds to ensure that veterans, especially for the global war on terror, can get elected to office. And that's not just in Colorado, that's all around the country. And when I mentioned this, when I was running for Weld County vice chair, Lauren Boebert even called me out, well, how much money did you raise? And I was just like, a lot. And she, and then that scared them. Like, oh, DeRito's raising money, and he's probably going to be putting up candidates to primary us. Correct. That is 100% accurate. Because if I don't think you're a good candidate, I don't care where you are. That's what our primaries are for. If you're doing a bad job, just because you have an R behind your name doesn't mean you should be serving the government.
Yeah, but they can actually just petition on.
Sure, they could do that too, and you should be able to.
Well, I mean, what about open private? We're getting ahead of it. I want to go through a couple of these things, and I want to get to that because there's more to it.
Yeah.
I saw your post. You called out Governor Bill Owens.
Yes.
I'm just going to tell you, but Governor Bill Owens, I had a large amount of respect for him until I didn't.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I don't know who Bill Owens is. I've never met the guy. And keep in mind, I've also never personally talked to Barb Kirkmeyer in my life, ever. But she knows who I am. And apparently so does Governor Bill Owens. So I was in D.C. on our last legislative push this year. I was out there with Carolina Stanzik, who is one of the only members who is 100% medically disabled at 25 with a pacemaker because the COVID-19 vaccine legitimately almost killed her and gave her several heart attacks. Brian Talley has passed the Talley bill and has passed several veteran legislation initiatives. And I work with them from Florida and from Texas on passing these initiatives because I can't get a single congressman in the state to do their job. So I'm going to go with other states' congressmen in those connections. So we're out there. We're at the Michael Flynn, General Michael Flynn's gala out there, interacting with things. And I get a phone call. I get a phone call from one of our board members from the National Veterans Association. They say, hey, you've been removed by secret ballot from the America First Veterans Association. I said, well, how is that possible? Because I'm on the board. Well, we got a call from a former governor, Bill Owens, who's associated with Barb Kirkmeyer, who apparently is a state senator, and they're telling us how you're working against the Trump administration, even though I've probably been to President Trump's house more times than most people in this state throughout the entire election season. And to be fair, this is probably their naivety. In D.C., you have to vet people's information at least through 3 to 4 people. You can't just believe one person. And they were young and naive and didn't believe that. So they had me removed as a board member because knowing we're coming into the election for midterms, I am finding people to primary people in other states and Colorado. And well, the good thing is that, you know, Bill and Barb, you did it right before our massive fundraiser at Trump Tower. So now we're going to dissolve the organization that had no election money for midterms. And you did it before we were a financial machine. So now we're going to reorganize into something else. But here's the thing. You look at Governor Owens, yeah, he did a lot of things for infrastructure up front. He did some good things. But then, you know, he started participating in Referendum C and opening up Tabor, which started dividing the entire Colorado Republican Party and destroying everything of what's going on, especially when it comes to the Rocky Mountain heist and what people like to talk about. Read into those, you know, statistics and everything that's going on. He was responsible for splitting the Republican Party, which is why he's become an ineffective person in state politics. But when he's endorsing someone else who is intentionally trying to keep people out of elections and trying to keep the same 20 chess pieces on the board just rotating around, if you look at all the people running for office around the state major offices, they've already held office. They're just moving chess pieces around, right? And then Barb Kirkmeyer, you know, her claim to fame is she tried to do the 51st state secession, which did not pass very well. She did not back SB 181 correctly, and, you know, being so pro oil and gas, but then agreeing to setbacks and environmental controls. That's why we lost hundreds of thousands of jobs in the state and billions of dollars of investment. You know, so it's a two-edged sword.
I can tell you why they don't like you. They don't like you because you read.
Yes.
In other words,
it's not hard.
You've read a book before, or 1 or 2 or 3 or 10, and frankly, you make sure that you're the most publicly educated person on the subject you're talking about. I am a little concerned about Bill Owens, related to what you said as far as he's anti-Trump. Bill Owens is anti-Trump.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's hilarious that he's calling me that when I literally have met his entire family and hung out with him at Mar-a-Lago several times over the election season.
No, but I'm saying that Bill Owens himself called Trump a charlatan in 2016.
Right.
And said he was terrible. So Bill Owens is probably one of the most terrible human beings you're ever going to find.
No, I agree.
Sorry, guys, listen to me. In 2021, I was at a friend's house who was having a get-together for children. I was there to donate a bunch of money. And Bill Owens was introduced to me, and I'm like, well, if you don't get rid of the machines and mail-in ballots, this is in 2021, you don't have elections. Like, you don't have and he goes, the elections weren't stolen. And I almost punched him in his face.
I don't blame you.
I was really close. It got pretty heated. And I'm like, choice word. Tommy, I have lots of choice words.
But here's the problem, Joe, is that, yes, there's a divide in the Republican Party here, and we're doing nothing about it.
No, it's not. It's not a divide in the Republican Party. It's been captured by a bunch of pieces of shit.
Correct.
Right? Including this Bill Owens guy.
Correct.
And let me tell you something. If it's not just Bill Owens.
Correct.
Right? It's what I call the poker table. Mm-hmm. Right? It's guys that get around and they share power. and they captured a couple of key billionaires in the state. And those billionaires, basically, they just go in and they just maneuver them as if they have a joystick on an old Atari.
Yes.
Right? Just
100%.
ding.
But that's why it's up to us, Joe. Is that like, do we want to start seeing government buildings burn down like in Nepal, or massive government uprisings in Mexico? Like Gen Z and the younger generation is getting tired of it. I mean, we're getting proposed with a 50-year mortgage now, right? I mean, these are the things they're telling our generation that we have to acquiesce and agree to now. And these are some things I just don't agree with. You know, it's how are we going to be able to raise our future families and buy a house and live the American dream that they've had the opportunities to? And these people are still in control. You know, we're now running people for governor that have no idea what's really going on in their own home state. And they're actively working against change agents like myself who are trying to do the right moral and ethical thing. And if I could fight the Air Force Academy and the Department of Defense and the highest ranking generals in the United States military for 15 years and win, if you think I'm afraid of you, here at the local level, you have another thing coming to you. And I kind of warned them of this. I'm like, I have no problem staying out of local politics and going to some events and shaking hands and kissing babies, so to speak, and keeping to myself. But the second they went after my initiatives to help veterans on the national side, and then convinced all the congressmen in the state to include Lauren Boebert and Gabe Evans and Jeff Crank and Jeff Hurd and all the Democrats too, you know, Diana DeGette, Joe Nagise, Jason Crow, right? All of them. They all agreed not to support this act. Well, then we have a problem, because if we can't change the system now, and this is their tactic. We all know that midterms historically have low voter turnout. We're lucky to see 24%. We got our butts kicked in Douglas County, and now we're being run by a bunch of Democratic socialists on school boards. And people are saying, oh,
Douglas County.
Yes, Douglas County.
Douglas County, the reddest. We don't have any problem with our election systems, everyone. No problem. The reddest county in all of Colorado is now got a radical school board to match the radical school agenda inside the schools, which, by the way, has not changed.
And here's the thing, we have to use Trump's philosophy on this. We have to make it too big to rig. We have to have massive turnout. You can't just sit around and say, oh, President Trump's in charge, he's going to fix everything, and I can sit home and just tweet away on the Colorado GOP signal thread. You know, that's not how it works. We have such low voter turnout, and we are disenfranchising the young people. It is also your fault. It is your fault for not showing up and participating in your own constitutional republic. And this is what I'm trying to motivate people on, is that if you don't think we have the right candidate, no matter what district it's in, then we need to find somebody to replace them, and replace them now. Because if the Trump administration loses enough seats in the midterms, we're going to have a lame duck presidency. Nothing is going to get done. Tina Peters isn't getting out of jail, and that's the end of it. And then they can go back to the good old boys club and the establishment system in 2028, right? So it's up to the younger people. I need you to show up to vote. I need you to participate in your own constitutional republic. You know, our founding fathers said in the final line of the Declaration of Independence, to this we pledge our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. And if they're willing to have their houses burned down, if they're willing to have their families murdered, then you need to be willing to do the same thing. We don't want to.
They weren't willing to have their families murdered, right? Because I can tell you right now, I'm ready for battle every day. Every single day.
Exactly, but we need to be able to do that, Joe. And the problem is we're not getting enough people to participate. You know, we're seeing, you know, like I said, I'm the only guy walking the halls in D.C. and Colorado. I think I'm there sometimes more than our own congressional representatives. It's kind of embarrassing. And I don't get paid to do this. I do this all pro bono. I think last year I actually did my taxes, $58,000 in pro bono work this year for cadets and service members around the country at my own expense, my own flights, my own hotels, you know, going to these events and trying to get people in the room and trying to help them out so they don't kill themselves.
So I can't bribe you with a bag of shekels. No. Tommy, can I bag you with a brag?
I had a nice embroidered velvet yarmulke I was going to give you, but I don't think Adam's interested. So.
No, and like I said, guys, what it comes down to is like, you know, I have nothing against Barb Kirkmeyer or Bill Owens personally. I don't know them. Like I said, I've never talked to them. But when you're actively working against someone who's actually trying to change the system and change the entire voter population from the generation that sent my generation to war for 20 years, you have another thing coming to you. We're not backing down. The people that I work with are absolutely sick and tired of it. And if that means I have to bring my out-of-state resources and all the amazing organizations and veterans that I've connected with over the 15 years I fought, you know, some of the highest levels in the federal government for, I'm not afraid to do that. You know, but it starts at the local level. When I see my property taxes go up $800 a year, when I see hundreds of thousands of oil and gas jobs being lost, when I see Suncor Refinery lose a $25 million paving contract because not a single Republican stuck up for them at the EPA meetings. I was the only one in the entire state to show up against a bunch I think it was 80 Democrats, socialists from Earth Justice fighting the EPA to make sure that we could reduce emissions by getting rid of our asphalt production when it's the only place in the state to pave our roads. So our politicians literally can't pave our own roads because we now are not producing the asphalt. We lost that money. We lost that revenue. Now we're buying it in Nebraska, shipping it back into the state. And when I call up our representatives, whether it's our local state representatives or whether it's our congressional representatives, and say, so what are you doing to save these union critical infrastructure jobs? And nothing happens. Deaf mute. Ignore email, ignore text message. So we need to replace them. And it starts with you. And we need to find people that are willing to do the job and do the hard work, no matter who that is. Because I will tell you, the Democrats are ready to fight. I have talked to several people on that side of the party. I put on a different pair of clothes and maybe like a, and walking into these meetings, they are actively raising millions of dollars to oust Lauren Boebert. Millions of dollars.
With who, though? Where are they getting the money? Because
oh, yeah, no, Act Blue and all those systems. But the thing is,
it's not a real system.
No, it's not. Absolutely
They're not giving them, they're literally being funded by people who don't exist.
Yeah, but they're still raising more money than us.
So how are they raising the money?
Act Blue is one of the primary funneling systems.
Why is it we can't get to the bottom of Act Blue?
Well, if you can go on the FEC websites and you can take the Act Blue, you can take individual donations and you can trace it back. And some of them coming from like old people in Florida. Like, you know what I mean? It's all money laundering, 100% money laundering.
So this is where I get into it and I say, all right, here's where we are. We got massive problems. Mm-hmm. Tommy, you think our elections are free and fair?
No.
You think our donations are free and fair? You think it's like a kabuki theater?
I'd say they're less porous in the elections, but they're still not something to hang your head on.
I mean, you have people raising millions of dollars. I mean, I'm telling you, millions of dollars.
Millions.
From people, and I'm talking an obscure race. Will raise $500,000 in $10 donations, and yet it's not real.
Correct. So, and like Gabe Evans will lose his election this year to Manny Root now, 100%. He only won by not that many votes, and it's the
get rid of machines and mail-in ballots. You won't.
Yeah, Hakeem Jeffries declared war on District 8. It is now the #2 most contentious district in the United States, next to the Georgia Senate race. They're going to come for it hard. They're going to come after Lauren Boebert hard. And right now we don't even have a single Republican willing to even contest District 2. Joe Nagise is going to walk away with that, or he's going to replace Michael Bennet as senator if Michael Bennet gets put in by Bloomberg as governor, which right now is likely what's going to happen. And we don't have even a single Republican willing to run in Colorado District 2. We're just giving it to them. We're not even giving them a fight. So and same thing with Jason Crow is obviously probably the hardest seat to flip, if not impossible. But we don't have anyone trying to run in 7. We don't have anyone trying to protect anything.
We don't have an election system here.
Yeah, we don't, but we don't even try.
Here, listen. If they can take an election in Douglas County, Colorado, for a school board, and say, oh, by the way, we did this legally, they didn't. They haven't. None of the elections are real. Yeah. Adam, none of the elections are real. You cannot outvote the machines. Like every time somebody tells me that I got to vote harder, I'm thinking to myself, you got to be kidding me.
Well, I don't think I'm necessarily telling you to vote harder. I'm just saying that, yes, we need to get rid of the Dominion voting system. We need to do, mail-in, not mail-in ballots. We need to do paper ballots showing up with ID. 100%. But at a minimum, we also can't be idle bystanders.
So why not get 100,000 people to go in and just flip tables?
I love that. I mean, that's what Jesus did. Everyone thinks that Jesus was a peaceful person, but he went in there. No, he was not a pacifist. That's a misconception. And as an unapologetic Catholic, I will tell you, we need to bring back the leather whips and the flipping of tables instantaneously. It's unquestionable, right? We need to do these things. There is no more acquiescing to the machine. We have to change the system. We have to demand change. And we can't just sit around and let us lose the midterms and let us get cleared house here and just say, oh, well, we tried. Well, you didn't try. You didn't try hard enough. If you guys put in half the effort that you do on these Facebook groups and these Signal threads into actually participating in what your local stuff is and forcing your elected officials to demand that we have in-person voting with paper ballots, then maybe we might see some change. But you can't do it by sitting idly by and being a keyboard warrior all the time.
All right, let me show you what it's coming to. Let me show you what's coming to, because I want to get to Mexico, and then Tommy, I want your thoughts on this. Play cut 4.
Cartels are dominating everything here in Mexico. They are in all the offices of the government, in the states, in the cities, and in the national government.
Is Mexico a narco state?
Yes, it is, and we all Mexicans know about it. And Mexicans are afraid of the alliance between the Mexican government and the cartels that have infested our nation.
Can you explain this alliance between the president, her party, the Morena party, and the cartels?
The cartels have given so much money to these politicians, narco politicians of Morena, to get into office, to get the power. So the Mexican government protects the cartels. That is why President Sheinbaum doesn't want the strong American leadership to help Mexico defeat the cartels. And also Sheinbaum doesn't want the rest of the world to know what is happening here in Mexico. We are on the steps to be the next Venezuela. She is aligned with Venezuela's dictator, with Cuba, and we are losing our country. They have destroyed our Republican institutions, the democratic state. I think we all Mexicans want and welcome the support of the United States to assist Mexican people against the cartels that have us all in this crisis with the traffic in fentanyl and migrants.
And they say, well, we just turned over 26 cartel members. We're sharing intelligence. What are they not doing?
Because she really doesn't want the help of the United States. She is lying to Mexican people, telling Mexican people that the United States will get in control of the whole country.
Right.
I never listened such nonsense. What we have listened is that President Trump wants to help Mexican people against the cartels. Mexican people are suffering. We have huge narco politicians here in the Senate, in the presidents, governors. Mexico is a very dangerous place.
Are you afraid for your life?
Yes, I am afraid. And the president has threatened me to proceed against me with criminal prosecution, to get me out of the Senate and get me in jail, just because I told you what is the reality of our country. We, the United States and Mexico, must work together to defeat the cartels and to get freedom for our country, for Mexico, to stop it from being the next Venezuela.
Yep, 100%. That's coming here.
Okay, so Tommy, tell me about the president of Mexico.
Claudia Sheinbaum. Well, she didn't like 37 other candidates get assassinated before her, and then she was brought in and won the election. And I don't know anything about her. I know she's a Jewish woman. And I do believe, and I have no idea if it's based on reality.
You know what that means? She's part of the Synagogue of Satan tribe.
And I do believe that they're saying a lot of the cartels are being equipped with a kind of Unit 8200 surveillance technology. I think more and more, and I hate to come to this conclusion, but I guess I shouldn't. I mean, a conclusion's a conclusion. I shouldn't attach emotion to it. It's going to continue to spiral. It's going to come to the United States. It seems it's going one of two ways. It's going to come here. It's going to dissolve everything we hold near and dear. And as major countries and bulwarks in the world fall this way, chaos will reign. Or President Trump has to do something that's going to be wildly unpopular and everyone's going to hate him. But they already hate you anyway and call you a Nazi anyway, so that doesn't really matter. I think at a certain point you have to look at it and just I know this is it's a sixth grader way to go about it. Quite literally call a press conference, dump everything about the 2020 election, and say they're continuing to do it. Your country's going away in 3 years, and then the rest of the free world will fall. Because of that, we're doing X, Y, and Z, and we're holding elections hosted by the National Guard, broadcast live on television. You can only vote in person. We're at a certain point where it's like when you have a friend that's drinking too much, and you're kind of like, hey, man, you're going to die, and I love your mom, and I don't want to go to your funeral. So I'd love to help you. And if you don't want help, I don't know what else to do. It's just kind of where it is. I think it's a miracle that Trump got in. I couldn't pass a lie detecting test and say I don't think that will happen. I think there's going to be two drastic things. We're either going to kick the can down the road until it drastically comes to our front door, or the president is going to have to act in a way that's going to be screamed about hysterically that he's a Nazi. I don't really see a middle way, and I don't like that. If I had to put all my money on it, I don't see it being one of the two ways. I hope the good Lord can show me a miracle and prove my my faithless idiot but wrong. But I just don't see it, which I hate because I'm 35 and I'd like to live a long life and have a family. And
I don't think it's going to happen, bro. I think what's in the cards is we're going to go to war. But let me just and I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is.
No, I don't. It's
buy
not
guns,
yeah.
buy ammo, buy gold and silver.
Yeah.
But here's the deal, though. There's only about 50,000 Jews in all of Mexico. Mexico has been under siege and held hostage by a narco state for 5 decades. They're a predominantly Christian, Catholic
yep.
community, right? By the way, I was going to show you this. See? Oop.
Got mine on too.
Okay, just check it, make sure you're good. All three of us.
There's some holy water on him. See if he sizzles.
You got 132 million people in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
50,000 are Jewish. And this is the president of Mexico.
After
And
37
everybody wants to get
assassinations.
pissed off. Everyone wants to get pissed off at Tucker Carlson and everyone else calling him out. It's true. And
Every
by the way,
time-
I'm going to separate Jewish from Jew. You have a person that is literally running cartels from the highest office in Mexico. And the people are like, you know what? Piss off. Duck off.
Yeah, the people have had enough of it. Like I said, look what they're doing. You just saw the video of it. Like, this is, you import the third world, you're going to get the third world. And that stuff's going to start coming here way faster than people think.
All right, check this out. This is insane. Go ahead and play it.
I was going to say, I think the best way to examine these things is sometimes people will take any article or any people and they'll just replace Jewish with Irish.
Yeah.
Like I am. And they're like, isn't it absurd how, 0.0001% of the population are Irish and yet they run the Senate, they have handlers in the House and when you start looking at it that way, and it's a non-incendiary term like Irish Catholic, you do start looking at it and going very quickly, you're like, even before prompted, very quickly, you're like, that's statistically impossible. Very quickly. And it's
100%.
That seems to be the X variable that's coming in is more and more people pointing that out.
All right, go ahead, point this out. Play cut 5.
Regresar a la guerra contra el narco no es opción.
Narco is not an option.
No es opción.
It is not an option.
Primero, porque
First,
está
because
fuera
it
del
is
marco de la
outside
ley.
the framework of
Todos
the law.
estos de la derecha que se
All
llenan
these
la
of the
boca
right wing that
de
fill
la
the
o
mouths
las
of the word
palabras
rule of
Estado
law
de Derecho y defienden
and defend the
la
war
guerra
against
contra
the
el
narco.
narco. Pues la guerra contra el narco está
The war
fuera de
against
la
the
ley,
narco is outside
porque como lo
the law
dije o lo he
because, as I
dicho
said or have
en varias
said, on
ocasiones,
several occasions, it is
es permiso para
permission
matar,
to kill
sin
without
ningún
any
juicio.
trial.
Y eso en México
And then in
nadie
Mexico,
o muy poquitos están
nobody
de
or
acuerdo.
very few are in agreement.
Está fuera del marco de la ley. Y segundo, no sirvió de nada más que para aumentar los homicidios en México y el nivel de violencia.
And the level of violence,
Entonces, estos llamados
They are called
autoritarios, porque
authoritarian.
son autoritarios,
because they are
es ir
authoritarian,
hacia el fascismo.
is going towards fascism. Oh boy, here we go. That's the whole person that, by the way, wants to transgenderize Mexicans now.
Yeah, good luck. And people don't understand, I've spent plenty of time in third world countries. I spent a lot of my time doing that. Like, I've been to Nepal, I've been to Peru, I've been to all over Mexico and everything else. And a lot of these people, are really poor and they just want to raise their families in peace. And like I said, we're seeing
Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, brother. That's all.
you are seeing the limits of these people. And, as a civil affairs guy, one of the things we always say, the 3 easiest ways to collapse a society is take away your food, your water, and your electricity. And when you start affecting those things in those populations, that's when people are going to uprise. And they're starting to see these narco states, terrorists basically, are causing a lot of these communities to become insular. And then you have a lot of drug running and a lot of drug trafficking and everything else. And these communities have become almost self-reliant because they can't depend on the government to defend them anymore because the government is allowing these people to exist. And, I pray and hope that that doesn't happen to the United States, but you're seeing, a lot of people are being forced to rely on their neighbors and rely on things because they can't depend on the government to defend them, to protect their gun rights. If our own state legislators aren't even willing to stand up to protect our own constitutional rights, then we are the only ones left that are going to be able to do that.
True story. You know, it's funny you brought up Mexico, third world countries, your military. I want to show you something. There's a guy here in Colorado. His name is Jose Barco.
Yeah.
He's a Purple Heart recipient.
Yep.
And he was deported.
Yep. Wrote a whole article on.
Hold on. Before you do it.
Yep.
I want everybody to know that he's a Purple Heart recipient. He served in the military. Play it.
An Army veteran who's been in federal immigration custody for nearly 11 months today was deported. Now, for months, Denver 7 has been closely following the case of Jose Barco. I'm glad you're with us to wrap up this week. I'm Shannon Ogden. Now, Immigration and Customs Enforcement telling Denver 7 today that Barco was removed from the U.S. and sent to Mexico. Barco, a Purple Heart recipient, returned from Iraq to southern Colorado, where he was convicted of a violent crime more than a decade ago. Denver 7's Claire Lavazorio hearing from those close to Barco as they work out just what's next.
Shannon, this is a story we've been committed to covering, so much so our team reached out to ICE to try to get an interview with Jose Barco himself. But we were told by a spokesperson it couldn't happen because of the ongoing government shutdown. Now, Barco's supervising officer in the Army says his application for U.S. citizenship should have been approved by the end of 2006. But at some point, the packet was lost. Now he's been deported nearly 20 years later. This is the text Jose Barco's attorney received Friday morning from the Department of Homeland Security. A message shared exclusively with Denver 7 says that Barco, a decorated war veteran and convicted felon, has been removed from the U.S. by the federal government. Searching for answers, Denver 7 reached out to Immigration and Customs Enforcement. A spokesperson for ICE tells us Barco was removed to Nogales, Mexico. With news of his deportation, we followed up with volunteer for Barco's legal team, Anna Stout.
It's absolutely appalling.
She says neither the legal team nor his family were told where the Army vet was taken.
This has been a sickening time for them, to be cut off from communication, to not know what's happening with their loved one, to not know where he is going, when he's going, how he is going, and to not be able to implement plans to be able to provide support and resources for him wherever he's going to go.
Barco's deportation marks the latest chapter in this complicated saga. Back in August in Aurora Immigration Court, Barco lost his months-long fight to avoid deportation. The court decided his 2009 criminal conviction for attempted murder met the grounds for removal. At the time, an attorney for DHS argued that Barco should be deported to Venezuela, Mexico, or Cuba. Barco was born in Venezuela to parents of Cuban descent and has lived in the U.S. since he was 4 years old. His deportation comes the same day that veterans in Phoenix plan to protest his detainment at the ICE facility in Florence.
I've been involved with the issue of deported veterans for a long time now.
Scripps News Phoenix spoke with Ricardo Reyes, executive director of Vets Forward, a veterans advocacy group. Reyes is in close contact with Barco's wife and is sharing this message on her behalf.
She just wanted people to know that, that Jose Barco is sorry for what he did, but he does not deserve to pay for that for the rest of his life.
Those working on Barco's team say the next days come with uncertainty.
We don't know how long it will be before Jose is given access to communication to be able to reach out to his team or to his family, and for us to be able to initiate whatever contingency plan needs to be initiated to try to support him.
Barco's deportation comes as the Trump administration is committed to ramping up its operations to deport convicted felons living in the country illegally. We'll keep tabs on this case and bring you updates as soon as we get them. In the studio, Claire Lavazorio, Denver 7.
Jose's case drives me absolutely crazy. I was actually involved in that in the background. Several people reached out, talked to some of his family members and his legal team, and
I mean, he did try to murder someone.
He did,
and it was not an innocent case of murder, by the way.
He accidentally shot a pregnant woman, and he claims it was a PTSD incident. That's his side of the story.
It wasn't, though. It was an act of rage, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I've seen the reports on this. Mm-hmm. There's no innocent. He basically and he wasn't a Boy Scout before that or after that.
No, I'm not claiming he's not guilty of those crimes. I'm not claiming that.
But what I'm saying, listen, there's not another country in the world there are countries in the world that if you can go get citizenship, but if it's not your country of origin and you commit a crime, they can kick you out even as a citizen of that country.
Yes, they can. But I think what I'm just trying to say is I would still stick up for an incarcerated American over an illegal immigrant. And there are several other more dangerous people that are in this country that are of illegal descent, that are not American citizens. And by all means, this is a big Army screw up. And if this goes back to 2006, right? And this is something I advocate for veterans.
So hold on a second, Adam. I'm not telling you that this kid should have been deported. It's not what I'm saying.
Sure.
Because he served our country.
Yep.
Right. So if you serve our country, you go over and you fight.
And get shot. You got a Purple Heart too out of it.
But here's what I am saying. Right. Here's what I am saying. This should have been resolved. I lost the paperwork. They should have literally walked the paperwork over, walked it into the deal, dropped it.
Correct.
But somebody wanted to make him an example. Someone wanted to make him the bad guy, so they'd have something they can hang their hat on.
100%. And this is a failure of his command. This is a failure of Fort Carson. They completely screwed him over. You know, I even tell like a lot of people the legal immigration thing. If you want to go get your citizenship faster, go join the United States Army. I'll bring you over to the recruiting office myself, right? But they completely screwed over his entire case, and no one fought for it. And yeah, he suffered mental health issues. He served in federal prison. He definitely committed a crime. 100%, not denying that. But what I'm saying is that this is exactly the issue I run into that I've dealt with for 15 years, is that not a single lawmaker is advocating for members who serve in the U.S. military in this state. Not a single one. You know, you want to go fix these issues, whether it's the Air Force Academy, whether it's the Army, whether it's Jose Barranco, whether it's Joseph Furnow, who I dealt with at the Academy most recently, and Jeff Crank refuses to get involved in that case as well, is that we have members of Congress who claim to run on I support veterans, and I'm going to support some of the largest military bases in the country here in the state of Colorado. Yet I can't get a single one of them to sign a letter of inquiry to the Department of Defense / Department of War to help advocate for these veterans. Not a single member of Congress, Democrat or Republican, in the entire state of Colorado helped advocate for Jose Barranco's case. And now he's gone. And he's likely not going to be able to come back here because of his conviction and the regulations behind that as they stand, right? But where are all these members of Congress? Where are our state representatives? Where's our governor advocating?
They don't care.
They don't care.
To me. Listen
they
to me.
don't care.
The people, and this is why I wanted to have you come on here. It is a cartel. Our country, Tommy, do you feel like our country is run by anyone other than a bunch of frat boy elitists?
No,
skinny jeans.
It's royalty, yeah.
Agreed. And what are we going to do to change it? We have to change it. Like these, just because they have an R or a D, whatever side you want to sit on, and we have to keep them in their seat. No, it's time to remove them. It is time. Midterms 26. This is going to make or break our country. We need to make a decision collectively as a moral and ethical population of whether we are going to try our hardest to put the right people into place. And yeah, we're going to have to fight a broken election system 100%. And we might lose, but we can't sit around and say, well, we're just going to throw our hands up in the air and we're going to talk about it on podcast for another 100 hours and still not resolve the issue. These people are not doing their jobs. They need to be removed, and we need to take a stand against that. Just gets me fired up because I can't stand these people, you know.
So
Tommy, they're demons from hell.
Adam was a whistleblower. I, in essence, was a whistleblower because I was on the Antifa call, so I guess you could call me a whistleblower because without me, we wouldn't be looking underneath the skirt of Dominion. I'm pretty much hated by the establishment on both sides.
Yep.
Even though they privately tell me, Joe, you're so right. You have no idea. You're right. I mean, I had a conversation today with a leftist.
Yep.
And my fact checker friend is like, Joe, you will prevail. And I was like, after 6 years, I'll prevail. Yay me. Yeah, 6 years of hell. Having to go through hell and spend millions of dollars and be dragged through the mud to prevail.
That's what they did to me. I mean, that's why I wrote this book, which, I wrote my entire memoir about my life, about this entire case. It's called The Guy in the Yellow Tie. How I got that nickname in D.C. is pretty funny. But, I mean, I wrote about my entire life growing up. And, I mean, I've been a public servant since I was 12. Firefighter, EMT, search and rescue, joined the Silver Air Patrol, went to the Air Force Academy, trying to be the all-American kid. Then realized how rotten the system was in the late 2000s, and then spent 15 years of my life and basically made myself broke trying to fight this establishment system. And the fight is still not over. Like, I still fight these people in court in the Air Force Board of Corrections military records. It's not done yet. You know,
well, you just said that they can lie about you and there's nothing you can do about it.
You cannot. And they tried to call me a pedophile in open court because we were. There's a whole story behind that. But you know, basically, we were like the Chris Hansons, you know, going in and trying to find all these kids. And basically, I was terrible at online dating at the time, and I was talking to a 19-year-old, and then later they said, well, this person was really 13, but how would you like to work for us as an undercover informant? And even to this day, my lawyers were like, we don't know if that was actually real or if that was actually an agent just trying to recruit you because they know you're a Marine going, you know, leaving the Air Force. But I never got charged for it. I've never been arrested. I don't have any criminal record. My entire background check's posted on my website, adamdreher.com, if you don't believe me. And I hold the top secret security clearance as an officer in the Army, so none of that is true. But the thing is that the Air Force can publicly say anything they want against you and their defense response. And then I found out you can't sue the government for slander or libel. So when people Google me and they want to read the first 2 sentences of the 10th District Court case, that's what comes up, because this is what the Air Force says about you, even though none of it's accurate. But
why you have Coomer did the same thing to me.
Yeah, you can't, there's nothing you can do about it. You cannot sue the government for slander or libel.
I got the CIA treatment. I got the CIA. I literally had someone call Laura Logan. His name is Clint. What's his last name? Starts with a D, out of Castle Rock. He ran for office.
I don't remember his name off the top of my head.
Clint. Anyway, he called Laura Logan because I mentioned her on the show and said, Joe's a really bad guy. And then I had Mermaid, who told my assistant that I don't have any credibility.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anyone else that has done the things that I've done.
No.
I don't know many.
It's one of the reasons I like you, Joe, is because, like, oh man, this guy deals with the same shit I do, just at a little bit of a higher level. I mean, they have tried to ruin my character, assassinate me for over a decade. And then I find out that the same people in our political system in this state try to do the same thing. Why? Because we're the ones out there making change. We're poking the bear. We're trying to actually get justice, not only for survivors and victims of the system, but also to try to fix the system. And is it going to be a long, slug-out fight? Absolutely correct. But like I said, when I walk the halls of D.C., I'm there alone. All these people are a lot of talk. All these people say they want to do this and X, Y, Z, but I'm the only one I see in D.C. doing the work. You're the only one here on this podcast actually challenging the narratives and having the hard conversations.
I should do that with you. I should go to D.C. with you.
You should go to D.C. It's actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was supposed to go last week. I just got caught up in work in my yeah.
No, I'd love to bring you with all the work I do with Brian and introduce you to my circle because, you know, as I learned, I don't reveal who my contacts are. I've met with some pretty high-level people, but I don't post everything on the internet for a reason, because I respect my relationships with those people in the administration. But
I'm getting sued with Trump, so I decided that I just would not even entertain. I mean, I felt bad that he was getting sued.
Yeah.
With me, but I you know.
But the thing is, like, Joe, we have to do something to initiate change. Like, we could talk about this for hours, and it's great. It's awesome. People are going to pay attention to it. But I need the rest of you to start showing up to meetings. I need the rest of you to start learning how to tailor suits and having rational conversations. Because if I hear, I'm sorry, but most of the state central committee needs to be replaced, because they're the ones in charge of electing, you know, our current leadership and everything else. And it's just like an endless pit. You know, like 300, you know, like where this is Sparta and we're just kicking everything down a pit that doesn't end.
So, what do you think, Tommy? Way quiet for Tommy. Tommy, this is like Tommy, like subdued.
I'm trying.
Like somebody.
I'm trying to. No. I'm trying to observe. No, I'm trying to observe. I mean, so if we're talking about the rot all the way through, and everyone's in agreement that the rot is so pervasive and it's reached so far down. The unfortunate conclusions are that it's not going to be fixed without radical surgery. And I don't think, and I'm looking at it at a point where it's going to be something beyond the pale. It's going to be Trump saying, I'm sending in the National Guard to do X, Y, and Z. Like, that's a shitty outcome to think about. That's not a fun bridge to cross. But just the more you look at it, and Joe, I think you said last week, being about like a systems engineer, you're like, they're just changing names of things. Like, nothing is changing. You have to start looking at it and going, well, what is realistically going to happen? Because I have to understand that you know, the idea that, well, if eventually a civil war and discourse and unrest will hit here, the people that benefit from that are also the state. So although they would rather quietly boil the frog, if they have to go the civil unrest route, they will, because they'll just be able to roll out a state of emergency. So even that is not in their favor. So the two forks in the road, either we do nothing and it collapses, or we do something, those both favor the state. It's it's an unfortunate alignment of planets, but I think it's going to come down to Trump being in his second term, his 80s. He's a billionaire. I mean, what do you have left but legacy and honestly vengeance? I think he has to do that. I think you have to do something radical from within the state power. It's not a fun conclusion to be at. And I've been doing this show for 6 years, almost 2,000 episodes. Like, I don't like spiraling down to it's all good, because I don't have any experience. All the Delta Force guys I interviewed, they're all going to kill everyone and take everything. I'm going to get shot on the first day. This isn't me calling for it. I just don't see. I don't see how it's not going to correct itself unless Trump does something drastic. I think he has to do something, and they're going to hate you and call you a Nazi fascist. They were going to do that anyway.
Well, I mean, let's be honest, Tommy, though. The only way that he's going to be able to do the things that you're saying, like these radical changes we need in this country, is if he maintains the ability to maintain the votes in Congress. And
that's what I'm saying. He has to hit a point. He has to hit a point of, the presidential, presidential executive administrative measures, or the PEDS, or whatever, or like it's at a point where it's going to be like, no, it's going to be like a sweeping power thing. I don't. If I'm looking at it like a video game, like I don't know how else you go about it other than be like, okay, I'm going to do.
Listen, I'm going to tell you what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to declare it an insurrection, because we're actually.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Something that's going to blow the news out, and just do it. You're going to have to pull the needle, the splinter out. Well, it's going to be really bad. It's going to be genocide if that doesn't happen.
Well, people always like to say, "Oh my God, they're setting up the National Guard." Look, I will tell you, as a guy who was in the National Guard, who was deployed.
Send in Delta Force. I don't care. Send in whoever.
Yeah, we call them CAG.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, look, they called us up for civil unrest. Like, I got deployed to January 6th. They loaded us up with like 15 rounds.
I was at January 6th, yeah.
Yeah, they loaded us up with 15 rounds of ammunition, which I told all my guys to duct tape their mags. Don't even think about it. And like I said, 90% of these kids that we were working with, like, they're not going to hit anybody. They're not going to do anything. They're going to stand there. We have the military police kids, and even they're a little bit more trained than the regular support guys from an SF unit. But like, our job is to jump out of airplanes and shoot guns. You know what I mean? Or fix trucks or whatever it is. And I think they're doing great work. I love my National Guard guys. Funny story about that is like we're standing on a street corner, and Michael Bennett calls us over. I want to see all my Colorado National Guardsmen. Jason Crow deployed us off a C-130 out of Buckley Air Force Base and gave the Independence Day speech for himself in his mask, telling him it was the most terrifying day he's ever experienced. Okay, Jason, that's your opinion. We get on the C-130. We take a nice 7-hour flight, because those things are slow and low, and you have to stay below oxygen levels. We land there in the middle of the night, and I think we're going to start invading D.C., and next thing I know, Michael Bennett calls us all over, and he's like, "Guys, just want to thank you for showing up and protecting our nation and preserving the Constitution. So I bought you guys some food." Keep in mind, there's like over 100 of us there, and he shows up with 2 pizzas. So it just shows you the mental disconnect that our own leaders who deploy our service members to protect them, or whatever else it is, have is from the reality of the situation. And then they had to sleep in parking lots because they didn't like us sleeping in their hallways because it made them look bad. Then they shoved us in the parking lot, and then they wanted to remove us from the parking lot. So now I was hanging out with homeless people in the grassy areas in between the DC Mall. Then it made us look bad then. So then they moved us into hotels. And one of the reasons, I'll give Jared Polis this one kudo. Jared Polis, because we're spending the entire state National Guard budget on housing, us in hotels, because it was during COVID, so we each had to have our own individual hotel rooms. And hotel rooms in DC that close to the mall is like, over $800 a night. So after a couple of weeks, the governor of the state of Colorado was like, "I'm not bankrupting the National Guard. We're going to bring them all back." So he brought us back, and then some of them ended up staying there. But the thing is that it's necessary. I mean, and you got to understand, these kids are citizen soldiers. I've served with them for a long time. I love them. Now I'm in the reserve. But at the end of the day, if that's what is required to stabilize our country, in order to remove the illegal immigrants out of this country and stabilize, crime cities like Chirac, as we like to say, in Chicago, if that's what we have to do, we have to do it. We have to preserve what this country stands for. And we just need to let everyday Americans be able to take their kids to soccer practice, go to work in peace every day, and make sure the lights stay on. And right now, we're dividing each other over all of these things, and we're not doing anything about it. We all like to talk about it, but unless we're actually going to actually do that, we have to make sure we have the right representatives in every state that are going to support the President of the United States initiatives in order to do these things. Because if we don't, we're going to go into a lame duck presidency for the last 2 years, where we're going to waste our time on impeachment processes and nothing's going to get passed, and we're just going to repeat the same cycle. And I think people like you and I are just sick and tired of it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take a left turn here. We're gonna take a commercial break. I'm just gonna take a 1-minute commercial break because I want to make sure that Adam and Tommy are okay with what I'm about to do. Because I'm about to, Bill Owens is a problem. Kirkmeyer is a Democrat in Prada, right? Wrapped in bacon.
Unfortunately.
We have lots of those, by the way, in this state. Lots. I mean, you got what's the clown down in Colorado Springs? Him and his wife. They call her Liberty something, or Todd Watkins, the Watkins crew.
Yeah.
She was a registered Democrat.
Yeah, Todd Watkins called the police on me for showing up to a meeting. I don't even know who Todd Watkins is, but I had the sheriff's department approach me.
He's a trash heap.
Yeah, that's what he did, though.
He's a leftist piece of trash who said that I threatened his family. Just so you know, I don't threaten people's family. If you attack my family, then we can talk. But I don't. You won't see me coming. All right, we're gonna take a commercial break. When we come back, I'm gonna talk to you about Steve Bannon. We'll be right back.
This is what we trained for! This is what we trained for!
Hey, I'm here for your Black Friday sale.
Black Friday is a go. Lock in your savings, shop Black Friday at DCF, and gear up for the biggest day of the year. DCF Guns, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter.
Okay. I cleared it with everyone else so that we could actually talk about this. Steve Bannon. Remember how I told you that there were people that were running around and they would defame me everywhere? So I've been collecting this information, and then I've been, Steve Bannon was the one that, it's not my story to tell, but I will tell you that he did it to Dinesh D'Souza as well, and said, hey, go out there, spend money to do this documentary, then hand it over to me. And Dinesh is like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And Steve wants to talk to you about how he's a man of the people. And I want you to know that he was the one that was charged with the building the wall fraud. And he got pardoned by President Trump. And one of the reasons why Steve Bannon got into this thing called the war room, he wanted you to believe that, I read this article just a couple days ago, he wanted you to believe that he was for the people. And I've only sat in front of Steve Bannon 3 or 4 times. His daughter treated me horribly when I ran the Frank speech. And he would privately tell Mike to get rid of me. He would privately tell him, get rid of Joe, you need to get rid of Joe. He doesn't know what he's doing. Now keep in mind, go look at what Frank speech is right now and look at it when I ran it. It's 5% of the people watch Frank speech that watched it when I was there. We ran a tight ship, ran over 13 shows, ran a 24-hour network. I took it public in 9 months. I did that. I couldn't figure out this Bannon guy. And then I started to figure out the things that he was, so I'd just dig. And so I became the non-Bannon fan. Look, I'm not fans of many people. I'm fans of President Trump. I'm fans of Kyle Seraphin, the guy that is hated by people that have used lawfare. We've become the very thing that we're fighting against, by the way. The radical left and what they've done is nothing compared to what people on our side have done to the people that have fought for the last 4 years. It's nothing compared. You know what? It's child's play. I'd almost prefer to have people that at least tell me what they're doing than the snaky little sneaky pieces of trash that we have today. And I wasn't going to go into this. So I'm going to bring Tommy and Adam back in. Let me tell you about Bannon. Let me tell you who Bannon is. I don't care what people like me. I don't care if 3 years from now I'm not doing a podcast. I have a feeling that I'm going to be in politics at a very higher level. Because when shit hits the fan, man, I am for God and country all the way. But Steve Bannon, man, he's a special type of not good person, in my opinion. And I hope he watches this, because he had a chance. Steve Bannon comes from Goldman Sachs. He's connected to the guys in multiple private equity firms. He went out and did his own thing, but frankly, couldn't get along with people. He got involved in politics. In 2018, if you guys can put this up there, in 2018, he, man, this is a little crazy. I think it's the last one that I just put in the thing. This is the last one. Put it up. Just put up the... So here's the Alexander Dugin article which Steve Bannon emailed to Jeffrey Epstein in 2018. I've been studying this stuff going on with Epstein because I want to get to the bottom of it. I told you before, I don't care. Let me read this to you just so you understand. This is from Steve Bannon to Jeffrey Epstein. And the article is about Scriptal, Syria, England, are all victims, globalist war, Trump, Dugin's analysis with shout out. Can we go to the article real quick? It's the web article associated with it. Yeah, it does. What's interesting about this is that everywhere you turn, these people are. When we talk about Coomer and Dominion voting systems, it doesn't take much to look at the fact that he was in all the different countries that have had problems. Everywhere you turn, foreign policy, domestic policy. And I'll say this about Bannon, he reads a lot. But you will be judged by the company you keep, and you continue to keep. Bannon's company was Jeffrey Epstein. Now, if you remember, who was fired from the Trump campaign, from the Trump White House first time around?
Steve was.
Yeah, why?
I don't know the whole backstory behind it.
See, President Trump thought he had it hemmed up a little. I think President Trump right now is very frustrated.
I would agree.
He's
100%.
He's frustrated. You can tell. He's worn out. He is like, how many snakes can you have? How many bad people can you have in there at the same time?
It wasn't even Governor Bill Owens working for a Russian bank before they...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. So it's like... Okay.
I mean, this is Bannon, good friends, not just friends, not acquaintances, good friends with Jeffrey Epstein. That guy. And nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to have the conversation.
Yeah, and as somebody who has fought sexual assault and fought for victims for over a decade in the military, it frustrates me that we just can't be completely transparent and hit the reset button on this stuff. If the files need to be published, victims need to get justice. We don't need any more suicides, and we need to route these people out of the government. I mean, they don't deserve to be there. They're supposed to represent the people, and if they're contributing to human trafficking, it's just unbelievably disgusting.
Yeah, no, really, it doesn't matter who's released it all. 100%. Put it. You use presidential powers and put it on every cell phone screen. I don't care.
I want you to see this. This is a video. This is Mike Gill put this video out. Mike, shout out to you. It says Bannon was buddies with Epstein, stole money from you, lying about building the wall. He's in the flip to save his ass. I'm not flipping at all on anything. I don't really give a shit about Israel. I do care about the fact that overrepresentation in our country, while they're saying that black people need to have more representation against white people, they're not looking at the fact that every one of the most important positions that we have, and 40 some odd percent of our judges are filled by Jewish, because they're not Jews. And I'm going to separate P. Diddy from Ben Carson, because they're doing immense amount of harm. The reason why our country is where it is today is because we're in a state of lawlessness where you cannot put your finger on common sense anywhere in our nation.
Yeah.
You can't touch it. I want to play this video. This is Mike Gill put this video out there. Play it.
We need regime change in Jerusalem, and we need it tonight. Everything that comes out of Netanyahu's government is a stone-cold lie. They're liars. They've been stone-cold liars. They gave bad information, so I'm not going to let that go. That's just bullshit.
Everything they're doing is demonic. I want nothing to do with it. I will never support Israel into the future after what they've done to these children. The starvation campaign, I don't care. I went from working for PragerU to I will never support Israel. So that's how much the scales have fallen from my eyes about what they are involved in. And if this isn't your wake-up call to just look at the footage of what they are doing, they're playing Hunger Games and like throwing food at them and then killing people and seeing who survives.
I wouldn't send them a dime. Like, that's my position. Whatever we're getting isn't worth it, because I think the cost is greater than the benefit. Everybody in Gaza is, at this point, has to hate Israel. By extension, those bombs, when they see American politicians go over there and like sign the freaking bombs that are going to kill women and children, everybody in Gaza knows people who've been killed and maimed.
And we're supporting it, right? Our tax money is going towards this. You know, it's not regular, everyday people who would want to do these things, you know, that it's like governments making these choices.
I don't want foreign aid to any country, including Israel. And if they're getting involved in something, from my perspective, for the sake of Israel, and I don't think they should.
There was a batch of emails released just recently that showed that Jeffrey Epstein worked closely with Israel, Mossad, and so forth.
I've been reliably told you're anti-Semitic if you say that.
MAGA cannot override MAGA. And I can criticize any foreign country that I want to because I'm an American and I have free speech.
MAGA being Make Israel Great Again, yes.
But I definitely am concerned about foreign countries' influence, especially when it comes to members of Congress. No more foreign aid, no more foreign wars, no more sending your monies overseas.
I wish that someone would tell Trump, listen, pal, you might as well be a Palestinian to this guy. He doesn't care about you at all. He doesn't care about our country at all. You think Benjamin Netanyahu cares that 3,000 Americans died on September 11th? No, and you know how I know that, Lex? He told the New York Times, he said to the New York Times in an interview on September 11th, it's very good. That's how much respect Benjamin Netanyahu has for the enlistment age sons of the United States of America and the dead civilians on those planes and in those towers.
So yeah, look at stuff like this, kind of hell freezing over. You know, it's it's rather going to peaceably change it or it's going to get chaotic. And then the third opening is always, unless the Lord shows his handiwork. And then I see stuff like this where, a year, just 12 months ago, just the general tone of things. If you had told me that's what it is going to be like this in 12 months, that says there's a better chance of hell freezing over. When you see these discussions that were relegated to the most. And I'm a conspiracy guy. I didn't go to prom. I was reading CIA: Legacy of Ashes by Tim Weiner. I'm in this stuff. This stuff has always been, anything Israel related has been so relegated to the outermost fringes of the galaxy of conspiracy. To see it as centerfold as it is right now, to me, I go, that's the miracle. If you're willing to put in the work, I think God is removing the scales from people's eyes. They've successfully buttoned this stuff up for our lifetimes, our parents' lifetimes, our grandparents' lifetimes, and now it is like common talk. I guess that's where I'm hopeful.
Yeah. So Adam, I'll give you a minute before I go into my thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, and I also have to be careful what I say sometimes because I still do serve in the Army, and nothing I say represents the DoD or the Department of Defense.
You can text me, I'll send it.
But as someone who has served in that area, and I see what really goes on behind the cameras, I will tell you that everything is not what it seems to be. When I was working with a partner force across the border there in the West Bank, and I see a lot of innocent kids getting killed by, nations that we also consider our allies, it makes you question about what we're seeing here in the United States and what the American people are being told, because it's not accurate. It's not true. And I will say that as someone who has served and lost 6 friends in combat over the last 20 years, the last thing I ever want to do is send the next generation to go fight another senseless war and spending billions of dollars and spilling hundreds of gallons of American blood when we can't even pave our own roads here. Right? I am such an America First person, it's not even funny. We have so many issues and so many problems and homeless veterans and everything else here. And the fact that we keep getting distracted by foreign wars and foreign problems that don't even reside within our borders definitely concerns me. We need to, as Americans, take responsibility to ensure that we elect officials that also have the same mentality and stop voting for endless wars and constantly arming people that are just going to keep killing millions of people for unnecessary reasons. Mentality. And stop.
Okay, so let me tell you my thoughts. Steve Bannon's changing his voice because it's not always the way he was, right? So it's like a chameleon. And I saw what he did to David Clements. I saw what he did to Mike Lindell. He treated Mike Lindell like a village idiot because he could make money on him. Pillow code, talking to all these people that frankly are just not, I don't know, it's like not smart. And I don't care if you listen to Bannon or not. What I care about is that you don't put yourself in a position, where you're willing to sacrifice everything, all your values to follow a guy who you think is someone he's not. Here's a guy that's taken millions of dollars from people on a wall. Had to get pardoned for it. You say whatever you want. Nothing happened to him. The guy he was with that lost all of his limbs went to federal prison. No pardon. Bannon was an elitist. He went to jail for contempt of Congress. Yeah, you gotta boost his street cred, right?
Yeah.
I spent time in the Middle East and Africa. I broke bread with people you would call terrorists.
It's a different world.
I talk badly about jihadis here in the United States who can't assimilate or treat people well. The same way that I would go over there and I would talk badly about foreign policy that kills my brothers and sisters. And just so you know, I don't care what country you're from. Man, if you're God's children, I will treat you like a brother. I will stand in front of you. Make sure that someone doesn't take a shot at you. But it's true, the emperor has no clothes. We're in a really bad place right now in our country. But you saw all those people that talked. And I'm not criticizing President Trump openly. I'm saying right now, Mr. President, you be judged by the company that you keep. And we're in trouble. The MAGA movement's being split apart by the very people that say they're here to help. And Bannon, man, I haven't even gotten to the other stuff that I have on him specifically. It's pretty crazy.
I mean, the worst words we can hear are, I'm the government, I'm here to help, right? And like I said,
the government.
Yeah, and it's our responsibility, right? You're right, Joe, is that, the president of the United States has to be careful of the company that he keeps. But unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of that company is more interested in staying elected and staying in office, waiting him out for another 2 years, make sure we get nothing else done in this country, make sure we're not putting America First policies first. And we as citizens have to make the decision of whether we're going to remove them and replace them. I mean, it's going to take several election cycles. It's not going to happen overnight. But if we don't do it, the Democrats are going to. They already have a plan in place, especially here in the state of Colorado. They are going to actively try to flip some serious Republican seats. Like I said, we already lost multiple school boards, and that's just child's play. That's nothing compared to what they're trying to do here. And like I said, it starts with us. And if we want to make sure that the president is surrounded by the best of the best, then we need to be part of that solution versus being part of the problem and being idle bystanders.
All right, I want to play this really quick. This is Steve Bannon, and then I'm going to play a Trump deal. So let's play the one I just put up, if we could, please. that I just put in there. This is Steve Bannon talking about the case of the globalists for the last 30, 40 years being wrong. I'm gonna show you what's happening. There's a shift and a break. President Trump, I'm not sure can see it, that you create conflict in the minds of Americans. A confused American is an easy American to take over by incident. Yes. A single incident can change the direction of somebody in the United States as far as what they think. A single incident. Because there's too many points by which they can dilute their opinions. And President Trump is losing ground when it comes to decisions he's made. And by the way, I don't think Jews versus Jewish, I support people. I'm just not going to give you any money, right? So you do whatever you want in Israel, right? Except for you don't get to kill people in a country that's not yours. And Gaza doesn't belong to you. But I want you to see this, what Bannon has to say.
The theory of the case of the globalists for the last 30, 40 years is just wrong. It's dead wrong. And it has weakened this country, and as importantly, weakened the citizens in this country. And this is what we were going to go to the religion of globalization, and we were going to ship all the manufacturing out of the United States that was too low value added, and we were going to ship it out of the United States. That's the excuse they did use. What they wanted to do was to get to countries with lower wage cost, no social safety net, and no environmental concerns. So it could turn China into a dumping ground and poison the entire environment of the world.
Okay, now play this Trump and on with Ingram, please.
Republicans have to talk about it.
And does that mean the H-1B visa thing will not be a big priority for your administration? Because if you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put you.
How did we ever do it before?
Well,
I'll
give you an example. In Georgia, they raided because they wanted illegal immigrants out. They had people from South Korea that made batteries all their lives. You know, making batteries are very complicated. It's not an easy thing. It's very dangerous. A lot of explosions, a lot of problems. They had like 500 or 600 people, early stages, to make batteries and to teach people how to do it. Well, they wanted them to get out of the country. You're going to need that, Laura. I mean, I know you and I disagree on this. You can't just say a country's coming in, going to invest $10 billion to build a plant, and going to take people off an unemployment line who haven't worked in 5 years, and they're going to start making missiles. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, this drives me nuts because. And there's two.
Sorry, I was muted. Sorry, that was all of World War II. That's who Rosie the Riveter was.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's two sides of this. One, I will say that our public education system is garbage, and we definitely have Americans who can't add without using their iPhone. 100% that exists. That doesn't mean that Americans aren't willing to learn and get into the trades. And as a blue collar worker, like I'm a proud union guy. U.S. Steelworkers 12477, right? Like I grew up my entire life as a blue collar guy. I was born in New York, grew up in New Jersey. My dad taught me how to take apart cars. My grandfather did the same thing. And even now, I spin a pipe wrench and wear steel toe boots and a hard hat every day, right? But the problem is that we do undercut American wages with illegal immigration. And if we don't remove the illegal immigrants out of our country, then we are not giving the next greatest generation, which is us, the opportunity to be in those trades. We don't need everyone with a degree in underwater basket weaving and $100,000 in useless college debt to be running this country. I know plenty of guys who are perfectly happy as electricians, pipe fitters, welders, refractory guys, everything.
Time out. I just want to point one thing out. President Trump said we need H-1Bs, they make batteries, H-1Bs. No, you don't. You got plenty of people.
Correct.
If someone can come here from South Korea, and this is why I say that MAGA is being split up from underneath its base. There's an active campaign. I promise you that Bannon has nearly everyone in the Trump administration on speed dial. Every one of them. that he's talking about and splitting people away from President Trump. But underneath, the people that are giving President Trump advice and telling him that you don't have talented people in this country, those are the same people that Bannon's talking to.
Yeah.
I mean, Bannon's talking about, he by the way, he doesn't bring up Epstein. You want to know why?
Why would he?
Because he's his boy.
Yeah, we have
he's the pedo's boy.
Agree. I agree with you, Joe. We have plenty of American workers that can do these jobs.
And let me tell you something. The Goldman Sachs guy is not America's man, right? He's just not. Okay, it is super important that you understand. I want people to be educated. Look, follow President Trump, but just understand that inside President Trump's camp, here's a report he's being given. Do you think President Trump talked about using hydrogen peroxide in the body to kill COVID? You think that was his idea?
No, absolutely not. I mean, people are definitely feeding him the wrong information, and these are
on purpose.
These are the people in the administration that are trying to sabotage him and undermine him. They're part of the establishment, and they need to go.
They need a narrative.
They do.
So they need all this chaos. Mr. President, you are being played by both sides. They are smiling at you while they are dropping pipe bombs underneath your pillow.
Yeah, literally.
That's literally what's happening. Mm-hmm. And I can see it on the outside. I see what happened with Bannon. And then you have to, you end up pardoning people who's like, Mr. President, we need you to pardon this person. He's asked about the guy with, Binance. He goes, yeah, I don't know. I never met the guy. It was a policy decision that was made in the administration. Because in the administration, they wanted to do everything they could to screw with President Trump. Look, I don't have to be the smartest guy in the room to understand this. But here's, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the day after President Trump was on Ingram, the day after, put it up. This is a bill to end the mass replacement of American workers by aggressively phasing out the H-1B program. I introduced a bill to end mass replacement of American workers by aggressively phasing out the H-1B program. Big tech, AI giants, hospitals, and industries across the board have abused the H-1B system to cut out our own people. Americans are the most talented people in the world, and I have full faith in the American people. I serve Americans only, and I will always put Americans first. My bill eliminates the corrupt H-1B program and puts Americans first, again, in tech, healthcare, engineering, manufacturing, and every industry that keeps the country running. If we want next generation, we have to be American dream. We must stop replacing them and start investing in them.
100%. And I know MTG. I met her. I've hung out with her. She's an amazing woman. She said some things in the past that I might have disagreed with, but this is something that I unequivocally agree with. America first, American workers first, American citizens first. It doesn't make any sense. I understand that there's a lot of companies that don't want to spend the extra money to invest in American workers.
Listen, we have a bigger problem. And I as a guy that runs businesses, I can tell you what the problem is. Regulations and taxes
100%
on the businesses in their country are draconian. Mm-hmm. It is nearly impossible. And while they sit there and they attack businesses and say you make too much money, look, I talk to businesses all the time. Nobody's making too much money. Nobody's making any money. Yeah. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
If you squeak by and make 50 grand on a $5 million investment, you're like, oh, I did a good job.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And people are trying to find ways around it all the time. And the H-1B process is a way that they can actually just skirt margin.
Yep.
The government is taking too much meat off the bone. And if I'm wrong, then why in the world is Social Security now called an entitlement? A woman that's put that money in there for 30 years, dies at 65. 40 years, dies at 65. Never got to take any of her Social Security.
Nope.
Puts all that money into there, and the money just goes, it evaporates. And the government goes in and it raids that money and says, we need new tollways, we need new property tax. And by the way, our education system is shit.
100%.
And you think it's bad in the suburbs where you got, Mama PTO talking about, oh, Simeon, we need to make sure we put in gendered, whatever, queer ideologies. The kids aren't learning there. You know what it is in the inner city? It's worse.
Yeah, just wait to see what happens in New York with Mamdani in charge. A complete insanity.
Police officer Mamdani, a captain of the police force, did an entire video on how to actually tie a hijab. That's actually happening in New York.
Yeah, you import the third world will come here. That's what everyone I've talked to in special forces and guys I've worked with for over 10 years have said. Yeah, if you're an immigrant and you want to assimilate to American culture and you want to become an American citizen, that's one thing. But these people have no desire to assimilate to American culture. They want to take your job, they want to take your money, they want to put you under Sharia law. If you don't believe me, look at Dearborn, Michigan. Look at Minneapolis. Look at Ilhan Omar. I don't understand. Like, it's right in front of your face. And all the time I spent in the UK and Ireland and stuff, it's there. And they don't have guns. And they're about ready to take their great-great-great-grandfather's armor off the wall and start stabbing people with broadswords.
They're in it.
Yeah, they're in it.
Guys, listen to me. We are in the most dangerous time in the history of the United States right now. Tommy?
Yeah. Yeah. You don't know. What I'm saying is like everything we're looking at, from the people feeding him shit to whatever. It's, I guess the reason I don't have much to say is because I think it's pretty much you pull the fire alarm. You use the military to do snap elections in every city of every state. You broadcast it live, do it same day, seal up the border, do it at the cost of the military, deport all of these. And if anyone says there's an issue, say this is national security, say it's no different than World War II with internment, it's going to be very vicious. People are lying to you. Okay, well, throw them in jail. Like, it's going to be brutal, but if you don't do it, we're going to have brutality in a longer drawn-out fashion. So that is my 2 cents, is you have to go in with a chainsaw. It's just
like
what it is.
How is Election Day not a federal holiday yet? Like, how?
And forget even that. That is like it's so many levels below. Like,
pure insanity.
I was like, you get dead people, holidays. Why can't you have one for the American people?
Show me what $1 trillion DoD does. Show me what Fort Meade's been cooking up. No, but that's what I'm saying. Is like,
it's insane.
Okay, well then 1/10 of that, 100, whatever. But my point, if you want to do this stuff, there is no simple answer. There is the complete mobilization. The same way that when we wanted to go to the moon, we don't bring over people who can learn how to go to the moon. No, you blast up the science programs.
To be fair, there was Operation Paperclip. We did take a bunch of Nazi scientists and take their technology.
And if there are more, bring them in. Bring in ones who can add. Don't bring in with a 50 IQ. You prove my point.
Well, I mean,
yes, what we did in World War II worked.
Fateh, I think that was his name. The reason he lost the mayoral election up in Minneapolis was because there's tribal warfare going on between the Somalis in that city.
Yeah, there is.
So yes, because he has a 62 IQ and he probably has an iodine deficiency. I don't care. Paperclip, yes, that proves my. Go back to World War II and treat it like a war, because if you don't, you're going to have World War III. It's not a fun answer. I hate it. There is nothing else to do but take the chainsaw with the flamethrower. It's just what it is.
I mean, listen to this for a second. I do not speak lightly about what I'm saying, right?
You shouldn't.
6 years, Middle East and Africa, hung out with some crazy people.
Yeah.
Solved some real big problems. Came back, built a company. Basically, I'm like the Forrest Gump of business, in a lot of ways. I mean, people ask me like, how'd you do it? I'm like, I have no idea. God. Like I wake up in the middle of the night and I see numbers in my eyes. Happened to me the other night. But like when I have to solve a problem, I close my eyes like right now, and I see numbers. So I know that I'm working the problem, and I still can't figure it out. This is one of those problems when I start thinking about it, I still can't figure it all the way out. But I know that President Trump, was out with Lindsey Graham playing golf. They're keeping people in front of him that are giving him narratives, and it basically is an op. They're running an op.
Psychological operations 101,
inside of, and President Trump can see it. He just doesn't know to which side is he on. He did this. He put out this truth. He says, I'm withdrawing my support for Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm withdrawing my support and endorsement of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene of the great state of Georgia over the past few weeks, despite my creating record achievements for our country, including a total and complete victory on the shutdown, closed borders, low taxes, no men and women's sports, or transgender for everyone, ending DEI, stopping Biden's record-setting inflation, biggest regulation cuts in history, stopping 8 wars, rebuilding our military, respected by every country in the world as opposed to just being laughingstock we were just 12 months ago, having trillions of dollars record-setting invested in the U.S. and having created the hottest country anywhere in the world, but being a dead country just 12 months ago, and so much more. All I see is wacky Marjorie, do is complain. It seems that it all begins when I sent her a poll stating she should not run for senator or governor. She was at 12% and didn't have a chance unless, of course, she had my endorsement, which she wasn't about to get. She has told many people that she is upset that I don't return her phone calls anymore, but with 219 congresswomen and men, 53 U.S. senators, 24 cabinet members in almost 200 countries, and an otherwise normal life to lead, I can't take a ranting lunatic's call every day. I understand that wonderful conservative people are thinking about primary Marjorie in her district of Georgia that are too fed up with her and her antics. And if the right person runs, they will have my complete and unyielding support. She's gone far left and even doing The View with their low IQ Republican-hating anchors. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Make America great again.
We are focusing on the wrong things.
Hell yes, we are.
I mean, why are we not primarying Ilhan Omar? Like, let's bring in some importance to some people that are really causing a problem in our government. We're wasting efforts on people that actually support an America First agenda, and that's absolutely insane to me.
But I mean, and let me just say this, Mr. President, and I think this is super important. And I'm just so we're clear. I want to make sure that I'm very clear on this. Supporting you and your agendas during Make America Great Again and running for a third term, winning a third term, it was too big to fail. We've seen what the radical left is doing. We've seen what they're trying to usher in. You see it. But this is beer goggles.
Yeah, the advice he's being given on some of these representatives, I mean, even like attacking Thomas Massie. I mean, Thomas Massie is all about single issue spending bills. I know he's a little bit more of a libertarian. You know, he's not perfect either, but like, at least you have representatives that are being honest, like, hey, I'm just here to support my constituents and do the right thing. And then we're going against the people that want to work for the American people first. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I mean, and you see a concerted effort by people to create chaos inside the MAGA movement.
Yeah.
And President Trump is being fed all these things. Marjorie Taylor Greene was never against President Trump.
No, ever.
No.
And
he's being fed all this shit. I mean, and I hope he goes back to whatever core thing, whatever core spark there is. We all have it. I do it with the podcast. You know, it's not being pre-med where you have a set out path. There's a lot of things where it comes back to the core, and there is no one to go and get an answer from. There's no book to flip to the back to and go, well, what do I do on year 6? There is a point where you have to ground yourself in God, ground yourself in the right thing, and go, what do I know is right, regardless of what I'm hearing? Hey, man, the dude removed president. You're a successful guy. You've made billions of dollars. You've done it. Go back. If you think you're being fed shit from all sides and the ticker's going down, you don't have that much time left. You got 3 years best, 1 year if you use the midterms. Use the thing. Brush off the ego. The ego can be a good thing. And go trust your gut and go for that. That's what I would say to him, man, is you know somewhere deep inside what you need to do. Stop looking for outs. Stop looking for that's an ally and that's a snake. Use your own judgment. Go what is right and what do I know is right.
Well, I mean, he was doing that, and then he
needs to go back to it.
Yeah, he needs to vet his intelligence sources. Like we never make a decision in the military based upon one source of intelligence. That's bad policy. We're going to make the wrong decision doing that. We always have to vet it between multiple sources, and I hope that our administration is going to start doing the same thing, because we're making a lot of bad decisions and making a lot of bad public comments right now on these things, and it's making real Americans, because you got to understand, like, what, less than 50% of the people of the United States even vote or get involved in politics, and when the rest of the people see this, like I said, they're trying to take their kids to soccer practice, they're trying to live, and they don't want to get involved in it. And we need accountability. We need to make sure the right thing's being done, and we need more people to voice those opinions in a way that's going to make sure that our elected officials represent us, and that the President of the United States can make sound, judged, moral, ethical decisions.
All right, so let me say this. When President Trump gets to the point where he's attacking Marjorie Taylor Greene, not calling her to the White House, saying, listen, let's have the conversation, you know that there are people inside.
You've been Basil. You've been, what is it, Bombasil? Yeah.
Well, it's like what we're seeing in Colorado right now. If they see you as a threat to the system of the establishment that exists, they will do whatever it takes to remove you from that system.
Yeah, trust me, I could feel that. I quite literally feel that. So President Trump put this out, and my heart hurts. And it's not like I'm a great fan of Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, she's not perfect. No politician's perfect.
I don't have a dog in the hunt, because I think that both sides are absolute dog shit, right? I don't think President Trump came in thinking if he doesn't pull the lever and do some really drastic stuff, we have no representation at any level. But let's go ahead and put this up. This is President Truth. Man, this is the stuff that, so wacky Marjorie Trader Brown, Reverend Green turned to Brown where there was rot involved, is working overtime to try and portray herself as a victim, when in actuality she is a cause for all our own problems. The fact is nobody cares about this traitor to our country. Remember that thing that President Trump said never do?
It's big comments saying calling somebody a traitor.
Oh, man.
That
And
means something.
we don't call the people that are traitors.
Yeah,
traitors.
words mean things. We say that in the intelligence world a lot. Words mean things.
I mean,
and when you say that, that's interesting.
Yeah, so there's a couple outcomes. Either Trump is compromised in doing this Okay, that's one of the possibilities. The other is that he's being fed shit from snakes from all ankles. Okay, at which point you need to dig your feet in and be an adult. Or 3, he's too stupid to realize he's being fed this shit, which I don't believe. So it's the middle one. If I don't believe he's compromised, I don't believe he's too stupid to know what he's doing. It's the middle one. He hasn't yet decided that, hey man, there's 3 seconds left. Are you taking the 3-pointer or not? Like, it sucks. I wish you weren't here. You're here. What are you gonna do? And it's very easy for me to say this in my cozy apartment. I'm not the president with the world on my shoulders, and God knows what many nuclear arsenals are on the borders of whatever. But hey, dude, if there's anyone that can do it, if there's anyone that's bigger than the office, it's Trump. I'm like trying to kiss his ass. Hey man, if there's somebody that can do this Tom Brady shit, it's you.
Yeah. Well, I think he can, but this is Marjorie Taylor Greene. I want you to. This is, man, this is crazy. And by the way, I don't think anything about the Epstein list is going to indict President Trump. But you're seeing the wheels come off the bus, and MAGA's getting ripped to pieces.
Yep.
It's losing its identity, and the left is.
It's almost a non-contention in this upcoming election. Like, people think like Trump endorsements are going to help. They're not going to help anywhere in most of these states.
Yeah,
they're just not.
Let's go ahead and play it.
I stood with President Trump when virtually no one else did. Campaigned all over the country, spent millions of my own dollars helping him get elected. And I think that's incredibly important. And I do support him and his administration. And I support them in delivering the campaign promises we made to the American people. His remarks, of course, have been hurtful. However, I have something in my heart that I think is incredibly important for our country, and that is to end the toxic fighting in politics. And this has been going on for years, and it has divided our country, split up friends and families, neighbors, and it's not solving our problems. The most hurtful thing he said, which is absolutely untrue, is he called me a traitor, and that is so extremely wrong. And those are the types of words used that can radicalize people against me and put my life in danger.
What do you think happened? What do you think is the reason?
And it's going to continue to divide people, and this is not what we need, especially with such important midterm elections coming on. You know, we're gonna put all our focus on these things. We're gonna start now calling people in our own party traitors and whatever else. And like I said, we definitely need to clean house. Like I said, especially in the state of Colorado, like we need to replace some people. But when you have representatives like MTG, who's doing the work and doing the job and representing your people, those are not the people we need to.
I don't think anybody right now. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene would at least show up and make sure there was a vote.
Yeah.
She'd say, voice votes. I need a vote, an actual vote. She would do it every day, right? But the problem is the system is a machine that just feeds whatever it is that your vice is. It feeds it. Doesn't matter what it is. They'll feed it.
And that's the problem with DC. You stay there long enough, you start getting sucked into it, and that's why it's like, oh, you just dip your toe in just enough and get right back. You know, you don't want to get sucked into that.
I mean, look,
it's bad.
I saw.
Not even once. Don't pick up the pipe. Don't even.
It's like
don't
Michael
even
Jordan.
start.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Doing drugs.
Get some help.
Get some help. Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Get some help.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene put something out, and I want you to understand something. She put out something saying President Trump attacked her. Put it up. President Trump just attacked me and lied about me. I haven't called him at all, but I did send him his text messages today. Apparently, this would send him over the edge. The Epstein files. Look, President Trump. Let me say this. Imagine being the guy that has to be the world's babysitter while navigating some of the most horrible human beings that were selected using these systems in our own country. Not very smart people. They're just not smart. And you have to do all of that while everyone in the world is texting you saying, "This is my pet project. I want to do this. Trump, can you do this for me?"
Yep.
I was coming home from elk hunting, and I got to a place where I had a little bit of service.
Did your phone go on fire?
It's unbelievable.
It's like me every morning. It's
Right.
like, please
Joe,
stop.
Joe, can I have tickets to the Avs game? Joe, can I have this? Joe, can I borrow $500? Joe, can you come on my show? Joe, can you? I spent an hour just catching up with people, and I probably had 30 people. Now imagine being President Trump. He doesn't have 30. He's got 3,000, 5,000 every day. His phone blows up. And I know he's got it imaged, and somebody else has a phone too. And he's looking at his phone, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy." And he's got to handle all these problems. And then I can already tell you what happens. It happens here. I fired 2 people last week. I fired 2 people. Somebody showed me a phone. I looked at it. I was like, I want them gone. I want them gone by the end of the day. Get them out of here. Right? And people were like, "Joe," and I'm like, I don't care. I'm done. I'm done dealing with the bullshit. Right? I'm done with it. So imagine President Trump times. He's very smart, and we don't understand the amount of pressure that you go through to be in the position he's in. And he's got to deal with Bibi. And he's like, "Oh, give me the letter so I can get a pardon." Right? He can't make anybody happy. There's no one to be made happy.
You have to have the courage to be disliked.
Well, that's the thing, is you can't make anyone happy. I think that is the gift, is realize no matter what, they're all going to hate you. And a lot of things you can't, ignore it. You can't lose your humanity. You can't do this. This is the one spot where you can be that high up that President Trump, you're allowed to detach, and you're allowed to go, this is happening and this is happening. It's as the only way I can describe it is Dr. Pete Chambers, talking about triaging, SF guys. That's where we are.
Great dude.
Yeah, he's an awesome dude. That's where we are.
But you got a bunch of alphas even on these guys, right? You got a bunch of, I've sat in a room with a bunch of alphas.
I'm telling them to not talk to any of them. You are the one that's triaging the United States and thus the world. Act accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. But then,
a lot of things you don't. It's not that like some people hate you and other people like you. There's a lot of things where it takes decades before people go, "Oh, he was kind of right." Like, that's how far out it takes. It's Eisenhower was a psychopath or setting up the continuity of government and the relocation arcs. It's 70 years later. We're like, yeah, it's probably good to have those nuclear bunkers spread out everywhere. Maybe that wasn't too much money. By then, his grandkids are dead. You have to be okay with being hated. And also realizing that the sacrifice is not always transactional. It's almost never transactional in your lifetime. It's just.
But the problem is that beer goggles. You've got people in there that are just, there's a grip on our country. And look, you could support Israel. I don't have to agree with everything President Trump says.
Sure.
I don't, or does, for that matter. Watching hundreds of thousands of Gaza children and women and children die, and us saying it's an acceptable casualty, reminds me of Madeleine Albright, 1996, saying that 500,000 women and children dying was appropriate.
Yeah.
I mean, that. I hope that woman is in a boiling pot of hot acid. Kill 500,000 women and children, but I look at what's happening in our country. Same thing's happening.
Yeah.
And they did it. They did it to make it closely associated with his watch. And they're going to rewrite history on President Trump. I promise you.
Of course they are. It's all cognitive dissonance. Like, it's so easy to say, oh, we're going to do this overseas, we're going to do that. But unless you've seen it with your own 2 eyes, it's really hard to justify what's physically going on in your mind.
Which all reinforces your memory is not going to be set in stone. It's going to be by those around you. Everyone's going to hate you. Assume everyone around you is a traitor. Go with your gut. The clock is running out.
Yeah,
it's not a fun answer. It's not a fun answer.
It's like if you want a friend in DC, get a dog. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you have to trust your own intuition and trust your faith and make the right decision without having everyone talking in your ear telling you what to do.
It's demonic. It's demonic. But then President Trump went after Massey.
Yes,
Yeah, man, you're chasing the shadows that the snakes are putting around you. Assume everyone is an enemy. Act accordingly.
Did Thomas Massey, sometimes referred to as Rand Paul Jr., because of the fact that he always votes against the Republican Party, get married already? Boy, that was quick. No wonder the polls have him at less than an 8% chance of winning an election. Anyway, have a great life, Thomas, and his wife will soon find out that she's stuck with a loser.
Yeah, it's bad form. Not recommended.
It's the
Yeah, man. That is. What are you doing?
Why?
I can already tell.
That's my point. Is what are you doing? You compromised. You're too stupid to realize you're being played, or you know that you're being played, and you're not compromised, and you just haven't found your balls yet to go. This is what I'm doing. I think it's the third. So do it.
Yeah, I think there's more to this than that. You know, I want to hearken this to Bernie Madoff. Okay. Bernie Madoff had kids and the life of life, and he was kind of like Steve Bannon. So think of Bernie Madoff as like a Steve Bannon of people. He can talk. He's very articulate. He was very smart. Super smart. And they let him go on for years, billions of dollars in fake books. They all knew. Everyone knew. But when he finally went to prison, you know what he said?
I thought the whole world would end before they get me. That was one of his quotes.
But he also said that he loves the life he has. It's peaceful. In prison.
Yeah.
He said he doesn't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
And then they killed his son.
Wrong.
Then they both.
And they killed his son. Yeah. So.
And so I want President Trump to. I mean, he imagine how much of a peaceful life you don't have. He doesn't have a peaceful life.
And he can't get it back. All the more reason to do the thing, man.
Rip the Band-Aid off and do the right thing.
Do the thing. And he said what he said on Air Force One like a month ago. I've never heard him say it before. I'm actually nervous about heaven. The fact that came out, that's the tip of the iceberg. For him to say something anywhere remotely that vulnerable tells me that's something on his mind. President, lean into that, man. Lean into that. Find the anchor in God, all right? Lean into that. Sorry, I'll stop blurting out. I've made my point very clear that I want Trump to, use the military. I'll shut up.
No, I mean, listen, I think we're all agree.
Yeah.
Adam agrees because he's still in the military, so he's like, yes.
Yeah, I'm all for the National Guard. Like I said, there's the posse comitatus thing, and there's regulations and stuff, but we can do it the right way.
I'm not asking you to verbally endorse what I'm saying. You have a lot more responsibilities than me.
Yeah. Nor am I going to.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a process and procedures.
Yeah,
and do it the right, moral, ethical way.
So President Trump put that out, and right after President Trump put that out, Laura Loomer. Laura Loomer put something out, and I was mortified by it, about Massey. You don't have to agree with Massey. But to go along to get along with the Republican Party, when the people at the top have done some really horrible things, it flies in the face of common decency. I don't know how you can go after. I don't know how you can go after President Trump the way that they did. I was pretty upset over it. But Laura Loomer said, serious question and serious answers only. How did Rep. Thomas Massey's wife die? Is there a police report? Is there an autopsy? Why is there such a mystery? I'd like to know. I find it so bizarre, and why I always have, now that there's a much younger woman in the picture. And it was a picture of him and his new wife.
Yeah,
I have a wife. Of many years. And I'm going to say that this is what I wrote. We don't have to put it up. This is disgusting. Massey was married to his wife for decades. It was his high school sweetheart. He does not owe you or anyone an explanation, and the fact that you would weaponize this is disgraceful. We have lost the ability to have humanity. Disagree with someone and go after his dead wife. Got it. I did not wait long enough to get remarried. He did not mourn the right way. He did not. The narratives are astonishingly what I would expect from people who lack courage and character. Pathetic. Do better, Laura. The next day, and people basically told me to shut the F up. I bring this up because, look, I'm the first one to fight. Yeah. I like to fight. But I've been married 23 years. It's been ups and downs. I know what it takes. If I were to lose my wife, it would devastate me. He got remarried after 16 months. She died 16 months ago. She had been sick for quite some time before then. So there's a shutting down period that I could imagine that you went through.
Sure.
But the fact
and several kids, right?
Yes, and all of it, everything in his life is he's just he has his tree is good. But right after she did that, I forget what the guy's name is. Man, I was pissed. Oh, Brendan Dilley. You know who Brendan Dilley is?
No.
You go, isn't it weird that Thomas Massey has a new wife and a new one, and that knew his dead wife for years before she died? Now his much younger wife tends to be his dead wife's animals. Now his much younger wife tends to his dead wife's animals as if they were her own, and sleeps in her bed, etc. She only died 16 months ago, and after 30 years of marriage. That was actually said on social media.
Yeah, man, these people are demons. They're demons from hell.
This is our side.
Yeah.
Attacking Massey.
Know them by their fruits. Throw them out. They're not on your side. This is a blessing. Be grateful that God's showing you who they are.
I mean, God tells us, you know.
You know them by their fruits.
Yeah, and I'm going to put you against your mother, brother against brother, father against son, and, you know, I will kill you. They will kill you in my name. You know, I mean, this is what we are to expect.
So, and I know we're running out of time because I got to go. I got to go help my friend get a gun. So I said this to Dilley, though, by the way. I said, between you and Loomer, by the way, the more stuff that I have on Bannon, it's unbelievable. Like the more stuff, it's unbelievable by people that work for him. I was going to go through the whole thing, but I felt like I'd save you guys that. I'll do my own show on it. That way I don't have to bring other people into my mess. I said, LOL, between you and Loomer, I think you have the relationship world completely mastered. Right? I mean, how many failed relationships? How many bodies in the wake of your two shining examples of success? I'm sure you got it all figured out. First is none of your business. Second, there is no perfect time to move on after you lose the love of your life. But neither you nor Loomer would know anything about that. It's disgusting that you would use this as your beat stick, and the only reason you do it is to hurt the man you disagree with, or more specifically, the man the establishment disagrees with. You just carry their water. Congrats, you carried it well. Hope the bag of shekels was worth it. But what do I know? Between the lot of influencers, you all have accomplished all of jack shit. But do attack a man with a 30-year marriage, children are impeccable, and like it or not, a man who will stand for what he believes. Without worry of the consequences, yeah, he's our problem for sure.
100%. Thomas Massey's one of the good ones, you know, and the fact that people are attacking him when he's the guy out there trying to fight for the American people and he actually cares about the people in this district. You know, I can't say that for many representatives. I can't say that for many representatives that go back to their home and actually shake hands and have coffee with their local people and actually show them that they care. And that's why they keep reelecting him. So, yeah, he might lose a so-called endorsement. Yeah, might somebody primary him. But that should be a notice to people who are running for office now, is that if you actually go out and build those relationships and show people that you actually care, I mean, you just need those votes, right? Yeah, the money machines will come after you and everything else, but then there's the flip side of that. We have most representatives who don't go out in district, or they get heckled all the time. They can't even get into any meeting without being shut down, and they just rely on big donors. So which one of those candidates do you want to be? Which one of those representatives do you want to be? You want to be the man or the woman of the people that actually respect and continue to get reelected for the right reasons, or do you want to be beholden to big corporate donors that control the system? And, you know, I would pick the first one.
Yeah, I mean, look, we never want to become the very thing that we're fighting against. Pray, stand, speak, act. The 4 things that I've been telling people to do for years. Pray first, stand up, speak truth, and always act. It's all biblical.
Absolutely.
Right? And so I got to go because I told him I'd be there, but I want you guys to know a couple of things. First of all, Adam, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it.
No,
Thank
absolutely.
you very much.
Thank you for letting me come on.
And how do people follow you?
Yeah, so Instagram's my biggest one. It's adam.DeRito2010. Same thing on Twitter. It's just Adam DeRito. TikTok and Facebook and everything else. YouTube as well. I did the Tuxes and Tomahawks podcast, Dark Saber podcast for the Air Force Academy kids I'm trying to save. And yeah, I'm on Substack. I read a lot of policy stuff on there, which you guys should probably check out since none of our representatives want to talk about policy in Colorado, but I will. And I'm here to try to save the state of Colorado. I mean, yeah, I know I'm a native East Coaster, but I love this state. This is where I want to raise my future family. And by, with, and through, as we like to say, no matter what it takes. If we have to find people to primary the unethical, immoral people representing us, then we're going to do it. It's time for the millennials, the Gen Z, and Gen A to stand up and let's create our own revolution, the legal and the right way.
We just got to get people to combine together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
All right. Tommy, good to have you on, brother, as always.
I was gonna say Adam's probably the easiest to get, and I mean that in a compliment, to get in touch with. Hey man, I think it was like under a minute. I was like, yeah. And I was like, wait, what? He got right back to me. Like, here's my phone. I was like, thank you. I'm like, thank you. Like,
yeah,
so,
I'm relatively responsive. My phone's like Joe's. It's on fire every day after for 6 months. But I will respond to everybody.
Immediately
interact with people. So,
all right, I'm gonna pray for President Trump. I'm gonna pray for our leaders. I'm gonna pray for humanity if I can. I end every podcast with a prayer, so I'll do that. But I just want you guys to know something. Nobody said it was going to be easy. No one. No one.
No.
No one said. No one even said that you'd survive it.
Correct.
So you just have to be willing to serve the Lord.
Understand that there's a much bigger picture here, and winning doesn't necessarily mean you survive. In the grand picture of God's scheme, that's a win. Your purpose might have been to get to this day, this month, this week, this year, and then it's over. And that means you didn't fail. That means you played your role. There's a lot of guys. My great uncle was on D-Day. He survived. There's a lot of guys who the door of the Higgins boat opened, and that was it. Their sacrifice wasn't any less. That was part of God's plan.
Yeah. So I just want to say this, President Trump, if you want someone that knows how to play golf to come play golf with you and be your sounding board, I'm all about it. I do want to play at Mar-a-Lago. Yeah, I think you just got to, man, you got to get out and you got to take a swim. I think he just has to take a swim. He's got to take a look at what that circle looks like around him, and I know he's frustrated. You could tell it. You could tell it going back to Charlie Kirk's funeral.
Yeah.
Right? I was there. I watched it. He is visually, he thought he could come in and get a bunch of stuff done. He thought he had the right people on the bus. He's got people like Kardashian Patel who are more interested in, covering things up. And I know he can see it. I know he can see it. I know the conflict that it creates. So let's play it. Let's pray him out. And Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. Just go to all those different places. You can find Tommy as well. Tommy goes live before I do. And, you got to hit the share button. You got to be the ones to be the ambassadors of truth. I want to thank those people that have been pushing out all the cuts that we've been putting out there. Hate mail has increased, which is really good. I know Spotify took down an extra 415 episodes. Sorry, can't do anything about it. I'm just going to continue to fight there. Let's see what else we got in the comments. Thank you, Joe. You need to tell Tommy we did not go to the moon. Tommy, we did not go to the moon.
I apologize.
Yeah. If you think we did, we didn't. We did not go to the moon.
Sorry.
Yeah, other than that, I love type of humor. Me too. Chris, I hope your job started well. Hopefully everything's good. All right, let's pray. Father God, thank you. Man, thank you for the time that we've had with Adam, with Tommy. Thank you for the peace that you put in my life, Father. I just have to say thank you. It is just amazing what you've done. You've exposed all this evil to the people. I truly believe that it was going to sweep in, and that some of the things that we've experienced have been able to wake up more people. And yet we sit here just wondering why it has not yet been solved. And I guess that's the lesson, is that everything happens in your time. Father, we see the conflicts that are created and the people that are involved in self-indulgences and serving themselves while abandoning the American people. We know that there's a lot of people that are telling President Trump a lot of things. But Father, I would just ask that you lift the burden off of President Trump. You let his eyes be able to see and his ears be able to hear. I would ask you, Father, that you would give him the discernment that is necessary in order to take us to a better place. I ask you, Father, to give us the ability to support President Trump, not just from the inside, but be able to do things in our community and in the country that can push towards a more visible and a more transparent process, so that President Trump doesn't have to rely specifically on people in his cabinet. And we know that he's not going to get things right all the time. And I don't even think that, even if I disagree with him, there are times that he's been right. He's right more times than he's not. Father, I would just ask you that you would give him the ability to see the outcome, to be a seer of things to happen in the future, and to do things that are necessary in order to save our nation, to save his family's life in the future, and to save us from this evil that has consumed our communities and our country and the world. I ask these things, Father. We love you. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
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 All right. I will see you guys later. Have a great Monday. Adam, thanks for coming on, brother. Lots going on. Bill Owens, bad guy. Kirkmeyer, do not vote for her. Do not vote for you. And if you're in Colorado, get groups together. I'll come talk to groups. Adam will come talk to groups.
Get involved.
We're gonna get a bunch of groups together. We've got we've got some fire people that used to that are amazing people. We got Ed Hartfield. Mm-hmm. He's a stud. Matt Arnold, which I haven't seen out in a while. He's kind of what's he doing?
He's relatively kind of new to the scene, but yeah, the people are getting out and doing things. And before that, Joe, I want to give you the first copy of my book.
All right, thank you.
You're the only one who has a copy of that, but I wanted you to have that, and thanks for everything that you do.
I'll read this. I'll make sure I read this in the next couple of weeks. Thank you.
Appreciate
All
that.
Right.
Thanks.
God bless you, brother.
God bless you too.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Take care. See you, Tommy. Be good.
Thank you so much. Yep. Adam, nice to meet you, sir. All right, guys, take it easy. Yep, peace.
Rise up untamed in the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through.